Chapter 2734. Z. Time-devouring bugs flew out of the shattered pitch-black space from time to time. The suction force was thousands of times stronger than the black hole, causing the surrounding space to turn into nothingness. Only the time-devouring bugs were wreaking havoc, and the universe's high-level warriors were attacking to complete the cleanup mission. There were a total of 3 blackboards in this star region. Including Captain Emoli, the 9 universe high-level warriors were split into 3 groups and stationed in front of the blackboard. With their strength, they could easily resist the suction force of the blackboard. Every time a time-devouring bug flew out, it would be instantly killed. The cleanup mission was coming to an end. There were not many time-devouring bugs left, and the number of time-devouring bugs that flew out was much lesser. The 3 high-level warriors surrounded a blackboard and kept killing it. "Captain, we must get this newbie," Jian-Julie reminded. "I know what to do." Captain Emoli smiled. "How can we miss a super newbie who can kill 10 million time-devouring bugs?" Jian-Julie smiled. "The other teams probably won't fight with us because Lin Feng's aura is only Huang Zun. They definitely wouldn't expect Huang Zun to be so strong." "Who would expect that?" Shiwen's golden long hair flashed past, looking slightly tired. "I thought that with a newbie at the bottom, it would be easier. Who knew that this newbie is so abnormal? I'm so tired." Shiwen, who was at the bottom, had killed a lot of time-devouring bugs during this period of time. Emoli and Jian-Julie gave all the time-devouring bugs that flew out of the blackboard to Shiwen. However, whether he could catch up to the other members depended on luck. There was a punishment for being last in the team during the cleanup mission. Captain Emoli sighed and said, "I didn't expect that when Jian-Julie saw Lin Feng, it had already been over 300 years. At that time, he was already resting, so it might not have taken 300 years. It might have been 200 years, or it might have only taken 100 years. 100 years? Shiwen opened his eyes wide and shook his head. "Impossible. I won't believe it even if you beat me to death. Why don't we just ask him directly?" Jian-Julie smiled. Captain Emoli's gaze landed not far away. A familiar figure was rushing over. It was the newbie Lin Feng. "Captain, Jianfenli." Lin Feng greeted the captain and Jianfenli. He also nodded at Shiwen. "I didn't lie to you, did I, Shiwen?" Jian-Julie smiled and said to Shiwen. The latter stared at Lin Feng's recording disc, his eyeballs almost popping out. The recording disc clearly showed 10 million kills. It wouldn't lie. "Monster." Shiwen raised his head and looked at Lin Feng. He quickly extended his hand. "Hello, I'm Shiwen." Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and shook his hand. Making friends depended on strength. It was normal for a newcomer to not be recognized by others, especially in the army. Everyone respected the strong. Moreover, Lin Feng came from the battlefield of the honorable God world. He did not come from an orthodox military background, so it was normal for him to be treated coldly in the barracks. Lin Feng was not a petty person. "Previously, I thought I saw wrongly." Jianfenli smiled and said, "Lin Feng gave me a shock. I have never seen such a powerful newcomer. I thought there were very few universe-devouring bugs in this star region. Turns out that they were all killed by Lin Feng." "I'm sorry." Lin Feng smiled apologetically. "There's nothing to be sorry about." Shiwen flicked his golden hair and asked curiously, "Lin Feng, are you really Huang Zun?" "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. Shiwen sighed and gave a thumbs up. So powerful. A newcomer at the level of Huang Zun was able to kill 10 million universe-devouring bug. Shiwen truly admired him. Even the captain, who was the strongest among them, found it difficult to do so. "Lin Feng, how long did it take you?" Captain Emoli asked. "I didn't count. About 100 years. Lin Feng indeed did not count carefully. It was mainly because he had been pondering over the 12 Taya formations. Rather than saying that he had completed the cleanup mission, it was better to say that he had been practicing the 12 Taya formations. More than 100 years? Emily and Jian Zhuli looked at each other and smiled bitterly. They had previously joked that Lin Feng might have only spent a little more than 100 years. They didn't expect their words to come true. The newcomer Lin Feng had indeed spent a little more than 100 years. Shi Wen's mouth was wide open. He was so shocked that he could not say anything. "Oh right, Lin Feng, are you interested in joining our team?" Captain Mo Li took advantage of the opportunity to invite him. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. "Haven't I joined now?" Captain Mo Li shook his head. "This is just a mission assignment. It doesn't count. After you complete all the trials and become a high-level universe warrior, you will be reassigned to another team after entering the ancient battlefield." Oh! Lin Feng suddenly understood. Captain Mo Li continued, "Come to our team. Everyone is familiar with, okay?" Lin Feng smiled and replied. His straightforward reply stunned Mo Li, Jianfenli, and Shi Wen. He did not even think about it? Captain Mo Li was still thinking about how to recruit Lin Feng, what promises to give him, treasures, and so on. Other teams would usually do this when they recruited powerful newcomers. However, Lin Feng was so strong that he did not have the confidence to do so. But now, he did not even say anything. He only invited him, and Lin Feng agreed? "Our captain is very poor." Shi Wen suddenly said something that instantly made Mo Li's face turn black. "Shi Wen, shut up." Jianfenli was slightly embarrassed. She was very clear about Shi Wen's personality. He was straightforward and outspoken. Just now, he had touched on a sore spot. Lin Feng smiled. "What does it have to do with me whether the captain is poor or not?" Shi Wen did not understand. Normally, when a newcomer is invited, the captain will give some treasures or something. "Lin Feng, you are so strong. The other teams will definitely give you better treatment. Why do you want to join us?" Captain Mo Li did not say anything. Actually, it was a good thing that Shi Wen said it. At least he did not have to feel guilty. It was naturally for the best if Lin Feng could join. Even if he did not, at least he would be honest with him. "There is no special reason. I just want to join." Lin Feng looked at Captain Mo Li and Jianfenli. When they met earlier, both of them wanted to help him out of kindness. This was actually the most important point. As for treatment, Lin Feng did not care at all. He did not lack treasures. Even if he did, he would earn them himself. When joining a team, the atmosphere and comrades were the most important. Strength was only secondary. This was because Lin Feng had always relied on himself. "As long as I can come to the ancient battlefield alive, I will join." Lin Feng made a promise to the three of them. Captain Mo Li smiled. He knew that this was basically set in stone. An expert like Lin Feng would naturally keep his promise. "Haha, Lin Feng, you are too modest." Shi Wen laughed heartily. Jianfenli also smiled. "Come back alive." This request was too simple. What was so difficult about the final mission? What was next was just going through the process. As for the elimination mission, it was basically over. Lin Feng also smiled and did not say anything. After all, this was his own matter. There was no need to say anything. Come back alive. Chapter 2735. When will the champion-level martial artists arrive? Lin Feng also wanted to see a powerful warlord powerhouse. They were either almighties or peak Yuan venerates with the strength of an almighty. Delta. Soon, I guess. Cleanup missions are usually completed within an era, Captain Molly said. It's already the year 9366 now, so it's probably only 100 years left. Jian? Rake leeches? Iqian yong di xian mu qian qian shi chu play? Gardener huh? Iqin? Black Star region lockdown? The time will be slightly later. After all, newcomers need more time. Lin Feng nodded. Black? If we seal it, the universe-devouring bugs won't appear again, right? Captain Mo Li said. Warrior-level experts will kill Black first? The universe-devouring queen bug in black? We won't leave any traces behind. Lin Feng asked. Captain, you mentioned previously that the strength of the space-devouring queen bug is equivalent to that of an ordinary peak Yuan Venerate powerhouse. Is that true? Yes, the space-devouring queen bug is comparable to a peak Yuan Venerate with one thought. It is adept at source spirit control, source spirit attacks, and source spirit illusions, Captain Emoli said. However, its most formidable ability is the Y-nurtured space-devouring queen bug. A universe-devourer queen, as long as it doesn't die, can produce an endless stream of universe devourers. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions. Of course, it will take time. Lin Feng's gaze fell on Black. So the universe-devouring queen bug also has a universe sac similar to the universe-devouring bugs? The so-called universe sac was the energy crystal of the universe-devouring bug. It was a small bead of brown HSE. Absorbing and refining it could strengthen the innerverse of the T-body. Lin Feng had just learned of its name from the captain. S3, I'm not sure about that. Captain Mo Li smiled bitterly and said, I've never killed a universe-devouring queen bug before. I'll just ask the champion rank powerhouses when the time comes. There should be. Jian? Is it the sword, the scabbard, and the plaque? Mao Chuanzheng? Plutonium grams? Slapping Gongchua and carrying Wuming Jun? Xiao Wu Fu called Chu? Nurturing universe-devouring bugs means that they can devour universes. Naturally, they would have universe sacs, and they would only be bigger and stronger. I think so too. Lin Feng already had an idea in his mind. Since the space-devouring bugs had a universe sac, the space-devouring queen bug, which could continuously produce space-devouring bugs, would naturally have one too. Furthermore, the energy of the universe sac would definitely be much stronger, as the space-devouring queen bug was already a peak Yuan Venerate. For a cultivator, a peak Yuan Venerate's T-universe had already evolved to the limit. For the universe-devouring queen bug, its universe bag had also been strengthened to the limit. Since refining the universe-devourer bug's universe sac could strengthen the T-universe, then refining the universe-devourer bug's universe sac would be even better. Lin Feng, why are you asking this? Don't tell me. Captain Mo Li was experienced. Seeing Lin Feng so concerned, his gaze locked onto Black. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. If it was really as he thought, then Lin Feng was too bold. I want to go to Hay? Let's take a look inside. Lin Feng's words were so shocking that Captain Mo Li and Jian could not believe their ears. Milk? Uranium centipede? Gray vertigo skeleton scar? Camphor trick? Address centipede? Yes, Lin Feng, don't take such a risk. It's meaningless. Mo Li and Jian? Centipede? Qiao on what a joke. That was the black that even top-notch universe warriors trembled in fear at the mention of. Many top-notch universe warriors had tried to force their way in, only to be surrounded by countless universe-devourer bugs and buried in black. Inside. It's okay. There shouldn't be many universe-devourer bugs inside now. Lin Feng would not do anything that he was not confident of. If it had been before he had merged with the fallen Star Soul, he would never have entered black. However, times had changed, and the current situation was different from before. The powerful 12 Teia formation attacked indiscriminately. There was no need to avoid it at all. It could directly kill the universe-devourer bugs and even shatter their hard shells. Numbers were meaningless because his source soul force was endless. A single Mirage Sea Sword was completely different from a sword formation. A sword formation could be used for both offense and defense, while the Mirage Ocean Sword could only be used as an offensive means. Although the 12 Teia formation controlled by his perfect source soul force was just a small test, its power was far beyond his expectations. Even if it was black, there were thousands of universe-devourer bugs inside, but Lin Feng was not afraid. However, the universe-devourer queen bug itself is also quite strong. Captain Mo Li was still trying to persuade him. It's not that many top-tier universe warriors can't deal with the universe-devouring bugs, but that they're easily affected by the universe-devouring queen bug. Perhaps it's an illusion or an attack on their origin soul. Lin Feng smiled. I'm not afraid of illusions or source soul attacks. If it was a R-body attack, he might be afraid of J-body attacks. However, source soul attacks and illusions went without saying. His willpower was extremely strong, and he had a treasure like the Qin Emperor's origin heart, so it was impossible for him to be affected by illusions. As for source soul attacks, he had the protection of his majestic source C and a perfect source soul at the moment. Lin Feng was confident that he could withstand the source soul attacks of top-notch first thought Yuan venerates, so the universe devourer queen bug was naturally not afraid. Lin Feng, you are really... Captain Mo Li still wanted to persuade him but did not know what to say. He just felt that there was no need to do this. Given Lin Feng's strength, it was better to fight steadily and surely. There was no need to take risks. He knew that many newcomers would be curious about the universe devourer queen bug. S3. However, was it necessary to enter and not kill the universe devourer queen bug just to satisfy one's curiosity? Are you sure you can protect X's life? Are you sure? Pam. Yes. Lin Feng nodded. If he was not sure, he would not take the risk. Moreover, he was about to have a decisive battle with the god of eternity. It would be ridiculous if he was afraid of a mere universe devourer queen bug. Furthermore, the universe devourer queen bug had a source soul, so he could use the Starfall 3rd level to test out his new outstanding mystic technique in a fight with the universe devourer queen bug. Killing two birds with one stone. Even if he could not kill the universe devourer queen bug, Lin Feng was confident that he could escape unscathed. Then be careful. We will wait for you to come out. Feed. Okay. Lin Feng turned into a bolt of lightning and flew in. Shi-Wen, who had just returned, was confused. He looked back at the disappearing Lin Feng and could not help but ask, "Where is Lin Feng going?" "Black?" Captain Mo Li replied unhappily. "Black?" Shi-Wen was stunned. "Why is he going there?" Captain Mo Li rolled his eyes. "Besides killing the universe devourer queen bug, what else can he do?" "What?" Shi-Wen's golden hair fluttered in the wind. His face was full of shock. "Captain, are you joking? Isn't Lin Feng Huang Zun? How can he kill the universe devourer queen bug?" "How would I know?" Mo Li was in a bad mood. If he lost a capable G-rank general, it would be a great loss. However, Lin Feng had not yet joined the 7th Cosmos Army and was free to do whatever he wanted. "Don't worry. Lin Feng is not that weak. Maybe he can really kill the universe devourer queen bug." Pam Dang Feed kill the universe devourer queen bug? He really dared to think. He will thank the heavens if he can come out alive. Captain Mo Li helplessly shook his head. Chapter 2736. Buzz. Sizzle. It was pitch black and deep black. It was like the breathing of a demon, swallowing and spitting out a terrifying devouring power. Anyone who entered it would be immediately shredded to pieces. Divine masters could not resist it, but venerables could easily resist it. Even if Lin Feng did not have a particularly strong defensive treasure, he would still be safe and sound with his source body. Chi. 12-9X dark sand swords guarded Lin Feng's surroundings, easily killing the space-devouring bugs flying towards Lin Feng. Just as Captain Mo Li had said, black? There were a lot of universe-devouring bugs in there. They were densely packed like locusts. Although the universe-devouring bugs didn't have intelligence, they had instincts. Wherever there was the smell of the universe, there would be them. Lin Feng's innerverse tea was the best food for the universe-devouring bugs. Swish! Swish! A single 9X nethersand sword could now easily kill a universe-devouring bug. This was something he couldn't do in the past. Perfect soul origin power is indeed powerful. Lin Feng had merged with the fallen star soul, and his battle prowess had risen to a whole new level. A single 9x dark sand sword might not be able to break through the carapace's defense, but killing the space-devouring bugs was not an issue. If not for this, Lin Feng would not have dared to enter the Black Desert. After all, his defense was very weak and he didn't even have a universal armor set. S3. In the blink of an eye, he had killed over 1,000 universe-devouring insects. Lin Feng was completely unharmed. Not a single universe-devouring insect could get close to him. All of a sudden, Lin Feng heard an unpleasant voice that shook his chest. The voice carried a origin soul attack. If it was a supremacy with weak soul defense, they would have been injured. I'm getting close. Lin Feng controlled the nether sand sword as he quickly went deeper. The sound came from inside, and so did the vibrations of his origin soul. The deeper he went, the more space-devouring insects there were. However, it wasn't dark inside, and there were flickering lights like fireflies, like guiding lights. That's the universe-devouring queen bug. Lin Feng soon saw the true appearance of the universe-devouring queen bug. It was a humongous body that was several thousand meters tall. Its body was wriggling like a gourd, and its body flickered with fluorescent light. It was extremely soft, and there were many densely packed antennae on its forehead. As its body wriggled, universe-devouring insects flew out of the holes on its body one after another. Seeing Lin Feng's arrival, the universe-devouring queen insect was infuriated. Its soft white body wriggled violently. It had no eyes, but its densely packed antennae contained powerful origin soul force. Perfect soul origin force. Poochie! Poochie! The universe-devouring queen's body wriggled like toothpaste being squeezed out of toothpaste. Many universe-devouring insects flew out of the glistening holes on its body. Compared to the universe-devouring queen, the 5-meter-tall universe-devouring insects were tiny. However, their numbers were extremely shocking. Although the cleanup mission was about to end, the number of universe-devouring bugs that had suddenly erupted numbered in the thousands, and they kept appearing. That formation seemed to want to devour Lin Feng alive. Ning, Lin Feng's vision turned white. The moment the universe-devouring queen bug released the universe-devouring insects, it had already launched an illusion attack. This was its usual trick. Unless it had no other choice, the universe-devouring queen bug would not use its soul origin attack. Just the illusion combined with the universe-devouring insects was enough to deal with the majority of the enemies. However, this time it had miscalculated. Peng! The Qin Emperor's city of will was impregnable. Perfect soul origin force against perfect soul origin force. Lin Feng was not at a disadvantage at all. The illusion was like a passing cloud to him. It had no effect at all. 12 Taya formation. 12 9x gloomy sand swords flew around Lin Feng. Each gloomy sand sword was connected to the other 11 gloomy sand swords, forming a resonance. The addition of the sword formation caused the 12 gloomy sand swords to perfectly fuse into one, strictly guarding Lin Feng. Rise! The gloomy sand swords flew into the sky. Rumble! Rumble! Countless universe-devouring insects flew towards Lin Feng. In an instant, the 12 9x gloomy sand swords fell like flames, directly blasting the entire area into smithereens. Space shattered, and the universe-devouring insects turned into ashes. The power was shockingly strong. The 12 Taya formation led by perfect soul origin force had greatly increased its power. Boom! Boom! Lin Feng controlled the 12 Taya formation, bombarding the area densely packed with universe-devouring insects time and time again. Each bombardment could take away dozens or even hundreds of universe-devouring insects. However, there were indeed many universe-devouring insects. No matter how many he bombarded, countless universe-devouring insects would approach. They would completely swallow Lin Feng alive, like a black haze in the void, unable to be driven away. If it was the Mirage Sea Sword, it naturally would not be enough. S3, however, the sword formation was strong. It was both offensive and defensive. The 12 Taya formation fell on top of Lin Feng's head. With Lin Feng as the center, the piercing bombardment perfectly controlled the entire area. As long as the universe-devouring insects approached Lin Feng, they would all be killed. Not to mention 1,000, even 10,000 would be useless. As long as Lin Feng's origin force was not exhausted, the 12 Taya formation would not stop. The universe-devouring queen insect was enraged. Its body squirmed violently as it let out an extremely unpleasant sound. Its source spirit attacked Lin Feng. Lin Feng had heard Captain Mo Li mention it before, so he naturally knew the universe-devouring queen insect's attack method. Hua, the origin sea, was majestic, and Lin Feng's innerverse was as stable as a rock. The perfect innerverse of innerverse was the best soul defense treasure. Moreover, Lin Feng now had a perfect soul origin, a majestic origin sea, and an indestructible willpower. Naturally, he was not afraid of the origin force. In fact, Lin Feng was using the universe-devouring insect queen's origin force. Because the origin force had two sides, its attack power was indeed strong. However, if the attack failed, the user's origin force would be greatly damaged. Without knowing how strong the universe-devouring insect queen's origin force was, Lin Feng acted cautiously and first weakened the universe-devouring insect queen's origin force. Woo! Woo! The universe-devouring insect queen let out a hoarse sound. Lin Feng's stable origin sea made it feel as if it had hit an iron wall. Although its body was huge, it had nothing to do with the strength of its origin force. The universe-devouring insect queen's body squirmed as if it was preparing to escape. It instinctively felt that the little guy in front of it was not to be trifled with. But how could Lin Feng give it the chance? Falling star. As the universe-devouring insect queen's origin force failed, Lin Feng directly used the origin force. The power of the superior secret technique was undoubtedly displayed at this moment. The third layer of falling star was overbearing. Even without the strong source sacred fruit, the power of this origin force was still much stronger than the previous one. The universe-devouring insect queen's body trembled violently as it rapidly shrank, squeezing out many unformed universe-devouring insects. Sticky brown blood flowed out of its body as it let out an unwilling roar. The perfect origin force rapidly shrank, and its power was constantly disappearing. Boom! The falling star finally shattered the perfect origin force. Boom! The universe-devouring insect queen's body twitched violently before it collapsed in a pool of brown blood. Its body shriveled up like a G and no longer had any signs of life. Lin Feng stood upright. Although his face was slightly pale, his fighting spirit was clear. The Peak Yuan Venerate Universe-Devouring Insect Queen had been slain. Chapter 2737. Chi. Chi. The nether sand sword drilled through the gaps in the universe-devouring queen bug's body. Although it no longer had any life energy, the universe-devouring queen bug's body's tyrannical defense was still not something the nether sand sword could break through. Omega Delta. Omega. Lin Feng felt that he might not be able to cut it open even if he used the 12 Taya arrays. Although the universe-devouring queen bug's combat form was similar to a Yuan Venerate, it was a very special life form. Whoosh! Several nether sand swords brought out a huge universe sac. It wasn't a small bead, but a sphere with a diameter of 10 meters. Compared to the universe-devouring queen insect's gigantic body that was thousands of meters tall, it was naturally small, but it was much bigger than Lin Feng. What a huge amount of energy! Lin Feng gently stroked the huge universe sac. It wasn't a brown say but a deep gold say that contained vigorous energy. It was exactly the same as the universe-devouring queen bug's universe sac, because the universe-devouring queen bug had given birth to the universe-devouring queen bug. My guess was right. Lin Feng put away the huge universe sac with satisfaction. However, this wasn't the place for refinement. Black? Lin Feng didn't know what kind of danger lay inside, and he didn't want to take the risk. He searched the pitch-black area of P for a moment, and then left. Black? In the void. S3, it hasn't come out yet. Captain Emoli frowned with worry. Although Lin Feng hadn't officially joined their team, he already regarded Lin Feng as a family member. Emoli knew that Lin Feng was a good friend just from the fact that he didn't care about the gains and losses of treasures. It hasn't been long since he went in. Shang feed, yes, Captain. How could it be so fast? Shiwen brushed his long, flowing golden hair and looked at the deep black. But then again, Lin Feng is really bold. He actually dared to find trouble with the universe-devouring queen bug. What a lunatic! Jian? I wish the bones of the dead to think of the walls of the Yi dynasty to say that the toad. Captain Emoli sighed. I'm just afraid he's too arrogant. Many of the high-level universe warriors from the God World battlefield are indeed gifted and have more potential than the warriors in our army. However, they are usually very arrogant. Although Lin Feng is humble, there's still a bit of arrogance in him. Jian? Ami Meng Fai Luo Bone-Breaking Ray Quan Shirtu? Robber? Ammonia? What? The Liao Emperor's treatment? Screening? Scorching the trench? I hope he's safe and sound. Captain Emoli forced a smile, but his gaze was fixed on black. Unwilling to leave, the sky suddenly darkened. Emoli's eyes suddenly lit up when he vaguely saw a dot of light. His body turned into a shooting star as he sped over. Jian? Nai 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 Jing? The painted wall tree whoosh. 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 Captain. Jian. Br? Pa. Do you think I'm jealous of you? Masturbate? Summon? What? Coiling and embellishing Chris? Clang. Brother Long? He was overflowing with words and expressions. It had just come out of the dark. Then, he saw the anxious captain. Are you okay? Captain Emoli asked. Lin Feng smiled. Oh, I'm not injured. That's good. Captain Emoli nodded and sighed. As long as he could come out alive, the rest was not important. Shiwen's long hair fluttered, his eyes filled with curiosity. Have you seen the universe-devouring queen? Lin Feng, is it ugly? Does it have a lot of universe-devouring bugs? Have you ever fought with it? Jian? Raining bones ao boluan yu vow? Meng cmo li zhen. Shiwen laughed. I'm just curious. Captain Emoli looked at Lin Feng and could not help but say, you are too risky. So what if you see the universe-devouring queen? You can't kill it. If you're not careful and get surrounded by the universe-devouring queen, you'll be in trouble. I agree with Captain on this point. Jian? Rong? Raining bones ao buluan yu jun? The Rockies are going to choke pods? Rong shao wu fu luan yu jun? Fu luan yu jun? Just give it to a warlord. Lin Feng smiled. It's okay, I killed it. Silence. Captain Emoli, Jian? Nai hui? Nai he? Forgive? Killed? Killed the universe-devouring queen? That was a universe-devouring queen that was comparable to a peak first thought yuan venerate, and there were thousands of universe-devouring queen protecting it. Even this could be killed? How did he kill it? A Huang Zun powerhouse had killed the universe-devouring queen? This was unheard of. No way. Shiwen's expression was a little sluggish. Jian? Ji? Panyu Tanhai Augu Jiong Huang Zun Yu Jun? Ichang? G. Script S3, Lin Feng smiled. Is it black now? There shouldn't be any danger inside. You can go take a look. The universe-devouring queen's pea is very tough and should be able to be used to make treasures. Can it be exchanged for some battle merits? Captain Emoli and the other two were dumbfounded. Was this true? Based on Lin Feng's tone, it was obvious that he wasn't joking. Furthermore, as soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, a huge golden HSE ball appeared in his hand. The energy it emitted was very familiar. The universe-devouring queen's universe sac? Captain Emoli had heard of it before but had never seen it before. However, when Lin Feng took it out and combined it with what he had just said, he could instantly conclude. Since he had even taken out a universe sack, it naturally couldn't be fake. Jian, Ji, Fu, from Ebai, ran to the Tsar, saw Jian, Dainao, Ji, Buli, Ji, Ji, absent-minded? Captain Mo said embarrassedly, I'm sorry. Lin Feng smiled. It's nothing. Is the value of the universe-devouring queen very high? Captain Mo nodded. Killing the universe-devouring queen gives 10 military merit. It will be recorded on the recording disc and can be checked when the time comes. Its universe bag has the highest value, and it can be exchanged for 500 million battle credit. Lin Feng, you can exchange for it directly after you join the 7th Universe Army. As for its corpse, it's worth 50 million battle achievements. Don't worry. Since the universe-devouring queen bug was killed by you, Lin Feng, they won't take it. After all, 50 million was not a small number. Although it was only 1/10 as valuable as the universe sack of the universe devourer queen, it could still be exchanged for a supreme-grade perfect chaos supreme treasure. Very soon, Jian, Qian naughty Pamu Qian Yong, come out from the darkness. I'm so satisfied. Shiwen sighed, his eyes sparkling. This is my first time entering the Black Star. This is my first time seeing the true body of the universe-devouring queen insect. Me too. Zinc? Is the fairy cavern showing off its blessings? Proud and distinct cabin, graceful in the Huai. I don't even want 10 million war credits if I throw it in there. Keep it well, and you'll be able to redeem it when you join the Cosmic Army. Lin Feng smiled. Can I use this to exchange for your universe sack? Jian? Wu Yao, Wu 0 is only 1 war credit. It's okay. Just give me as much as you have. While chatting, Lin Feng knew that the captain and the others all had universe sack. Although the value of universe sacks wasn't high, and 10 of them were only 1 war credit, the amount was considerable. For example, Captain Mo could kill 10 million universe-devouring queen insects on average in a cleanup mission. 10 million universe sacks were worth 1 million war credit. Lin Feng didn't want war credits. What he wanted was a universe sack that could increase his combat power. Chapter 2738. This. Jian? Naughty Papa Mao? Fuingi? Zheng? Naughty vinegar pawingi? You? Naughty corpse boiling barrel pokingi? Li Niangi? Jian? Naughty Papa Maoingi? The two had quite a lot of universe sacks on them. After all, it wasn't the first time they carried out a cleanup mission. Jian? The 5 million universe sacks, Shiwen had 8 million. Captain Mo had the most universe sacks, a total of 40 million. Many thanks. Lin Feng was very happy to obtain 64 million universe sacks in one go. To him, this was much more important than 50 million battle achievements. What did he need battle achievements for now? Increasing his strength to the limit was the right path. As long as he could enter the ancient battlefield alive, he could earn any amount of battle achievements. Lin Feng had estimated that 10 million universe sacks could strengthen his internal universe by about 1%. 64 million universe sacks could strengthen his internal universe by 4%. In addition, there was that huge universe sack. Captain, can you do me a favor? Lin Feng looked at Captain Mo. Captain Mo smiled and nodded. Naughty Papaingi? Naughty Papaingi? Ichaoingi? Xing? Cha? You? Ingi? Which one is it? Ichaoingi? Also? Badgeringi? I'll take you to the other two, hey? Those 6 fellows still have a lot of universe sacks on them. Many thanks, Captain. Lin Feng thanked him. With Captain Mo taking the lead, Lin Feng saved a lot of effort. The other 6 members also followed, hey? Naughty Papaingi? Naughty Papaingi? Ingi? 10 million, this kind of strength made them admire him. In the 7th Universe's army, the strong were always respected the most. If you had enough strength, the other soldiers would naturally submit to you. On the contrary, if you didn't have strength, who would care about you? Seeing was believing. The 6 members had some doubts before, but when they saw the solid numbers on Lin Feng's record disc, they were convinced. When they saw Lin Feng enter He, it was even more shocking. When Lin Feng killed the universe-devouring queen insect, he was even more shocked. That was the universe-devouring queen that even top-tier universe warriors couldn't kill. Jian? Br? Papu Vinegar Fat Humorous Book? Plotting against me? Bright colors? Hiss? Fio Cole Shi Huan W? Obak Assel? Chang Jiao's neck was dislocated? Nua Meng? Chronic illness? Like smacking of leaves, this strength was too exaggerated. The Third Bureau of Darkness? 3 universe-devouring queen bugs and 150 million universe sac. This was Lin Feng's harvest in less than 100 years. In fact, most of his time was wasted on traveling. After all, the star zone was too big, and there were 3 dark spots. They were scattered at 3 different points and were quite far away from each other. Although there was still black in other star zones? However, each squad had its own area of responsibility. Even if Lin Feng had the strength to kill the universe-devouring queen insect, he could not violate military discipline. Moreover, Lin Feng did not intend to kill the universe-devouring queen insect again. He should stop while he was ahead. While he still had some time, refining all the universe sacs was the most important thing. Refining 150 million universe sacs would take a considerable amount of time. There were also 3 huge universe sacs that originated from the universe-devouring queen insect. Every bit of improvement counted. Lin Feng knew that even if he refined all the universe in his body, he still wouldn't be able to match the yin-yang god. However, the stronger his internal universe was, the smaller the suppression would be. After all, he had improved greatly in other aspects. If his internal universe wanted to catch up to the universe god, he would have to break through to the godly venerable level. There was no use in being anxious. It took Lin Feng more than 200 years to refine all 150 million universe sac. The number was truly shocking. One must know that Lin Feng had only killed 10 million universe-devouring queen insects and refined 1,000 universe sac. Now it had increased by 15 times. Although it took time and effort, the strengthening of his internal universe was real. It had increased by 15%. There are still 3 huge universe sacs. Lin Feng made good use of his time. The first era was getting closer and closer. The cleanup mission was about to be completed. When he returned to the barracks and received the newbie battle order, he would leave the star-falling realm and return to the battlefield of the Supreme God world. There, the yin-yang god would definitely be patiently waiting for him. When the time comes, I'll definitely give him a huge shock. Lin Feng was now 80% confident that he could survive this crisis. The strengthening of his internal universe had reduced the suppression, which in turn increased his combat power. I wonder how much my internal universe can be strengthened by the huge universe sacs. Lin Feng was very curious. As soon as he refined them, he had a rough answer in his heart. What vigorous energy! It was also a universe sac, but the energy of the universe-devouring queen insect was much purer. It was like the difference between a coarse iron ore and a fine iron ore. The energy of the universe-devouring queen insect was more than 100 times stronger than the universe-devouring queen insect. The universe-devouring queen insect was also much stronger. The universe-devouring insect didn't even have a soul, but the universe-devouring queen insect didn't just have a soul, it was a perfect soul source. It's too huge. Lin Feng could clearly feel the improvement of his internal universe. Every year, it was improving at a rate visible to the naked eye. It took him 77 years to completely refine a single universe sac. One had to know that previously, It took him only 200 years to refine a total of 150 million universe sac. The effect was also astonishing. 18%. Lin Feng's heart was filled with shock. The energy of a single universe sac was actually greater than 150 million universe sacs. He was overjoyed. Continue. Lin Feng quickly refined the second huge universe sac. It was slightly smaller than the first, but not by much. After all, not every universe-devouring queen insect was exactly the same. Even chopsticks had different length. Needless to say, there were differences in strength. 16%. The second huge universe sac also gave Lin Feng a huge improvement. Of the 3 huge universe sacs, the third was the largest and also the last one that Lin Feng absorbed. After nearly 100 years, the strengthening of his internal universe had reached an astonishing 20%. Yuan Venerate level. The continuous strengthening of his internal universe made the evolution progress extremely fast and clearer. Although it was not comparable to the internal universe of a peak ultimate god, it had already exceeded the energy limit of a peak ultimate god's internal universe and reached the Yuan Venerate level. This was very important. When fighting against the yin-yang god, it was no longer a suppression of the same level, but a suppression of energy. The internal universe in my heart is already close to Huang Zun's limit. The 3 huge universe sacs had strengthened his internal universe by 54%. In addition to the 16% of the 160 million ordinary universe sacs, his internal universe had strengthened by 70%. This was not the proportion of strengthening, but the evolution progress of his internal universe from a basic Huang Zun to a peak Huang Zun. The level of energy was not much different. Lin Feng's internal universe lacked more comprehension of the heavenly great path and stability of nomological laws. What a powerful aura! Lin Feng looked into the distance, where he had just finished refining. Black? A rich and overflowing life aura appeared in the void, far exceeding that of a peak Yuan Venerate. It was an almighty. A warlord powerhouse is here. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Chapter 2739. Lin Feng was very curious about the 7th Cosmos Army's warlord powerhouses. He had heard Captain Mo Li mention that there were 2 conditions to becoming a warlord powerhouse. First, one had to have military merits. Second, one had to have the strength of an almighty. It wasn't important whether one was an almighty or not. However, the one who had come this time was a real almighty. He could sense it just from the aura of their internal universe. In the original universe, the internal universe of an almighty would be suppressed by the original universe. However, on the ancient battlefield, the Hongmeng Sea, the internal universe of an almighty was completely manifested. Just like the original universe, it was a part of the Hongmeng Sea. Perhaps the internal universe of an almighty might be much weaker than the original universe, but it was already on the same level. It was like an island in the sea. The original universe was a bigger island, while the internal universe of an almighty was a smaller island. The internal universe of a Yuan Venerate powerhouse was just a reef. Of course, the internal universe of a godly Venerate powerhouse couldn't even be considered a reef. The newcomer, who was wearing a green battle robe and had his hands behind his back, appeared calm and composed. There was a strange horn that curved downward on his head. He was 4 meters tall and was rather thin. There was a military insignia in front of his chest. This newcomer was a warlord powerhouse. Who is the captain? The man in the green robe glanced over with a glint in his eyes. Greetings, Captain Mo Li of Battalion 18,777, Captain Mo Li said respectfully. The team members behind him were also in awe. Lin Feng bowed his head slightly. Almighties were super powerhouses that stood at the peak of the universe. He had heard Captain Mo Li mention this warlord powerhouse before him before. His name was Green Feather God, and he was the strongest powerhouse in the 4th Army. A battalion consisted of 100 battalions and 1 million universe soldiers, all of which were led by a warlord powerhouse. There were 10 battlefields in the Supreme God realm, and the fallen star continent corresponded to the 4th Army. High-level warriors would be assigned to Battalion 1, Battalion 2, Battalion 3, all the way to Battalion 100, forming a cycle. Lin Feng was assigned to Battalion 18. As for which team he would join, it depended on which team happened to be short of people. I just sealed a black star continent. Where did the universe-devouring queen bug go? Green Feather God frowned slightly. Sir, one of our team members killed him. Captain Moley said truthfully. There was nothing to hide, as the recording disc had already recorded it. Moreover, this wasn't considered stealing military merit, but rather, it was a matter of who was capable. Oh! Green Feather God was surprised and curious. Her sparkling eyes swept over the group of senior warriors, and finally fell on Lin Feng. She made a soft sound of surprise. Did you do it, rookie? Yes, sir, Lin Feng replied. Azure Feather God had a thoughtful look. Alone? Lin Feng nodded. Not bad. Green Feather God clasped his hands behind his back, nodding and praising. It's rare to see a newcomer who can directly kill the universe-devouring queen bug. After entering the ancient battlefield, he directly came to find me. Yes, sir. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Green Feather God didn't say anything else and directly asked Captain Emoli, 3 black? The universe-devouring queen beetles were all killed, right? Yes, sir. Captain Emoli replied. Green Feather God nodded and glanced at Lin Feng again. Then, a virtual light flashed and he disappeared. Lin Feng didn't feel any spatial fluctuations at all, and Green Feather God had already left. Sir, you don't seem surprised? Tito grinned, somewhat curious. Captain Emoli looked in the direction where Green Feather God left and said, Sir has commanded the 4th camp for countless eras. What kind of newcomers have you not seen? Lin Feng is very powerful, but he's only Huang Zun, not an ultimate god. In the past, there were newcomers who were more powerful than Lin Feng, but you didn't know them. The team members nodded. General experts were too far away from them. Why is Captain frowning after receiving Sir's praise? Nanjiang Feijing? Ingi? Concubine? Xingjishi? Captain Emoli looked at Lin Feng. Every camp has a special unit, and every camp also has an elite team. Since Sir asked Lin Feng to find him, it means that he has the intention to promote Lin Feng. Even if he can't join the special unit, he will at least join the elite team of the 18th camp. The team members suddenly understood. In other words, Lin Feng couldn't be kept. So that's how it is. Lin Feng was still wondering why Green Feather God asked him to find him after entering the ancient battlefield. It turned out that he wanted to put him into the elite team. It's a good thing to be chosen by Sir. No matter if you join the special unit or the elite team, the treatment in all aspects and the level of the mission will be much better than the ordinary team. Captain Emoli smiled at Lin Feng. Although I can't bear to part with you, I don't want to delay your future. Moreover, since Sir has already spoken, there's no way to take it back. At that time, Lin Feng, if you become famous, I will have the right to brag. In any case, Lin Feng, your newbie mission was completed in our 777 squad. Captain Emoli laughed heartily. The other team members were also happy. Like their captain, they wouldn't ask Lin Feng to stay. They would only bless Lin Feng. People always wanted to climb higher. If they were in Lin Feng's position, they would be the same. It would be too selfish of them to say good words to keep Lin Feng. Let's talk about this after entering the ancient battlefield. Lin Feng didn't think too much about it now. There was still a life and death battle waiting for him on the battlefield of the God world. It was useless to think so far ahead. If he could defeat the Yin-Yang God and enter the ancient battlefield, it would be fine. If he couldn't defeat the Yin-Yang God, he wouldn't be able to enter the ancient battlefield again. Lin Feng clearly knew that the appearance of the Green Feather God meant that the elimination mission was coming to an end. This was because the star sector where the newcomers were from usually the last to appear. Moreover, there wasn't much time left until the first era. It's done. Lin Feng was also fully prepared. He was waiting to get the newcomer battle token and return to the battlefield of the God world to fight the Yin-Yang God. 15 years after the green feather god appeared. Tired? Tired? A deafening voice rang out and spread to every black. In the void, Lin Feng also finished cultivating. Under the leadership of Captain Mo Li, he returned to the barracks with a group of familiar team members. This was a remote area of the Hongmeng Sea. It was empty as far as the eye could see. It was dark when they arrived. There were holes everywhere. The entire space was horrifying, as if doomsday had arrived. Space-devouring bugs were wreaking havoc everywhere. It was dark when they arrived. Everything was sealed, and the void returned to tranquility. As for the space-devouring bugs, there wasn't even a single one left. The elimination mission was completed. Previously, I was thinking of staying here temporarily to cultivate. Lin Feng laughed. Back then, he had been too naive. If he really stayed here, the Hongmeng Sea was so big that he would probably be lost forever. Being lost in the Hongmeng Sea was no different from dying. This was a vast land that even an almighty would not be able to explore in their entire lives. The Hongmeng Sea, I'll be back soon. Following Captain Mo Li, Lin Feng stepped into the crack passage. His eyes were filled with determination and confidence. Chapter 2740. Lin Feng returned to camp number 18. Just this teleportation passage alone would take dozens of years to travel. It could be seen that Black was carrying out the mission. In the distant void, Lin Feng was very curious about the Hongmeng Sea. The universe-devouring insect, the universe-devouring queen insect, and the Black? The Hongmeng Sea hid countless secrets. Completing the rookie mission was very simple. All they had to do was turn in the recording disc and report it to the team leader. Basically, as long as they completed the mission obediently and did not offend the team leader, they could easily obtain the rookie battle order. Lin Feng naturally did not offend Captain Mo Li. Not only that, he even got along well with the members of Squad 777. Shi Wen, Ma Tuo Jian? Wuji 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 Dan? Leech? Invade? Collapse? What the hell? Qin Xian and Muqin? To owe a debt of gratitude the next time he returned to the ancient battlefield, Lin Feng would join an elite team or even a special force. Take it. Captain Mo Li handed the newbie order to Lin Feng and said with a smile, "Although I can't bear to part with it, I still wish you a bright future. There are nearly 30 million battle points and 30 military points in the order." 30 military merits? Lin Feng took the newbie order. He knew that the newbie mission was worth 10 million points. After deducting the 1 million universe-devouring insects, he had killed nearly 10 million more universe-devouring insects. Each insect was worth 2 points, so he had a total of 20 million points. Therefore, there were close to 30 million battle points in the newcomer battle token. Each Universe Devourer Queen is worth 10 military merit. Captain Mo Li smiled. You're not simple, kid. Many top-notch universe warriors don't even have that many military merit. The Universe Devouring Queen bug is one of the more valuable military merit. Lin Feng smiled. Military merits were of a much higher level than battle merit. If a top-tier universe warrior wanted to become a warlord, he would need military merit. I'm leaving, Captain. Lin Feng and Captain Mo Li embraced each other. Take care. You too. Although they hadn't spent much time together, Lin Feng had built a good relationship with the members of Squad 777. They were all from the 7th Universe Army, not from the battlefield of the God world. They had the personality of a soldier and were more straightforward. Lin Feng had also noticed that the warriors of the 7th Universe Army were somewhat indifferent to the warriors of the God world battlefield. Rome wasn't built in a day. However, this had nothing to do with him. I'm here, Yin Yang God of Eternity. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Compared to the hesitation and indeterminacy he had when he first arrived, the tempering of an era had allowed him to glow with new life, and his strength had improved greatly. Indeed, he was still Huang Zun. However, it was a completely different primordial chaos Huang Zun. I wonder if Huang Zun has ever killed a peak Yuan venerate in the history of the Origin universe. If not, then I'll be the first. Lin Feng was full of confidence. On the top floor of the Starfall Tower, the yin-yang god Cosmos had been waiting here for several thousand years, and the Cosmos gods under his command were all present as well. He wasn't in a hurry. The yin-yang god Cosmos, who had experienced the rookie mission, knew very well that Lin Feng would definitely return. Even if he didn't want to return, he would still be driven back. What kind of place was the barracks? It wasn't a place where one could stay as they wished. In the army, in the barracks, everything had to follow the rules. Unless Lin Feng died during the rookie mission. Otherwise, he would return from the Starfall realm with the rookie battle token. The yin-yang god Cosmos knew that the Starfall realm was actually an ancient battlefield. It was just that it led directly to the barracks of the ancient battlefield to complete the rookie mission. The true ancient battlefield was far larger than the barracks. He's here. The Starfall realm emitted bursts of light as a figure slowly appeared in the semicircular halo. Separated by a circle of light, Lin Feng and the yin-yang god looked at each other. Hazy light covered the area and the yin-yang god revealed a cold smile. His prey had already left the cage. It was time to slaughter him. Hongmeng Si, ancient battlefield. 10 pagodas stood tall like mountain peaks, revealing their loftiness in this vast land. Upon closer inspection, the 10 pagodas looked exactly the same. It was the shape of the Starfall Tower. The 10 pagodas were connected as one, like a complete supreme treasure that had split in the middle and scattered. Its aura was abnormally tyrannical. This was a Hongmeng origin item, and also the core of the honored god world's battlefield. If you break the rules again, I will stop you. Buddha Heart Shura, who had been sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, said indifferently. Although he hadn't opened his eyes, it was as if he could see everything. On his forehead, the imprint of D emitted a powerful force, and its aura was as steady as the earth. Densely packed skulls could be seen on his arms, and they seemed to have come alive at this moment. What I do is my business. It has nothing to do with you. Killer Heart Guanyin was dressed in a red robe. Her face was frosty as she glared at Buddha Heart Shura. Her dozens of pairs of arms formed seals. On her forehead, the imprint of D was bright, and her killing intent was stronger than Buddha Heart Shura's. A terrifying killing intent permeated the air. At this moment, Killer Heart Guanyin was like a god of death descending to the earth, forming a stark contrast with her beautiful face. If there was a disagreement, she would start a massacre. Don't forget your duty, Buddha Heart Shura said. Killer Heart Guanyin's eyes were filled with killing intent. The newbie mission alone took 30 military points. This is a good seedling. As the manager of the original universe, I have the duty to save him. Even if you blame me, I have a clear conscience. You know clearly whether it's for public or private reasons, Buddha Heart Shura said softly. Is it important? Killer Heart Guanyin raised her head arrogantly. Her killing intent seemed to be able to destroy everything. You can't save who I want to kill. You can't control who I want to save. Buddha Heart Azura pursed his lips, and the imprint of D flashed and he didn't say anything else. Because he knew that each of them had their own standpoints, there was no point in saying more. However, this didn't mean that he would give in. If Killer Heart Guanyin broke the rules, he would intervene to prevent her from making a mistake. After all, this was also his duty. Lin Feng had arrived. He naturally didn't know that the two managers had been secretly observing him. However, Killer Heart Guanyin couldn't see what was happening in the barracks. If she had known, she wouldn't have been arguing with Buddha Heart Shura. After all, Lin Feng's current strength was really strong. Killer Heart Guanyin was indeed puzzled. How had Lin Feng obtained these 30 military points? However, Lin Feng knew very well that these 30 military points were real. He had obtained them with his own strength. In black? In black, he could kill the universe-devouring queen bug, which was comparable to a peak first thought Yuan venerate. In black, he could kill the yin-yang god. There was no other possibility. Lin Feng had already swallowed the power source sacred fruit, so he knew that this battle was unavoidable. The yin-yang god in front of him sneered, as if he was determined to obtain it. However, Lin Feng knew very well that the one who was determined to obtain it was himself. Luo Yunyang was no longer the fish on the chopping block of the yin-yang god in the previous era. Boom! The moment the protective light of the starfall mirror dissipated, Lin Feng's eyes lit up and he immediately launched his strongest attack. Starfall Mystic Technique, Level 3 Sky. Chapter 2741. His source sea stirred and the power of the strong source sacred fruit erupted, raising his source sea to its limit. The falling star soul was already releasing its divine power. The use of the perfect source soul power not only strengthened the power of the falling star mystic technique, but also activated the top-notch perfect chaos ultimate treasure, the rain-painted mirror. The strongest attack, the rainstorm mirror. Torrential rain poured down and was refracted by the mirror's surface. It was as if a clone had suddenly transformed and exploded with terrifying power. The strength of the perfect source soul power directly determined the upper limit of the rain-painted mirror. Go! The Qin Emperor's origin heart city of will was as steady as a rock. Lin Feng's conviction was firm. The torrential rain accompanied the rain-painted mirror as it went straight for the yin-yang god's soul defense treasure. Lin Feng knew very well that this was the most direct contest. If he could break the yin-yang god's soul defense treasure, then this battle, he would definitely win. Sure enough, it's the impact of the source sea again. The yin-yang god sneered. He had already seen through Lin Feng's trick. He had let Lin Feng off the last time because his soul defense treasure was too weak and he didn't want to be seriously injured after it was shattered. Thus, he had gambled his cultivation future and fought Lin Feng to the death. However, this time, he had fused with the peak chaotic ultimate treasure, the zombie corpse, and his entire soul defense had turned into a thick, earthy white wall. It was as hard as a mummy and impenetrable. You want to break my peak chaotic ultimate treasure? Stop dreaming. The yin-yang god was determined to win. However, he frowned slightly. This time, he felt that his internal universe couldn't completely suppress Lin Feng, which was different from the previous epoch. Strange. How did his internal universe become stronger? Did he obtain some kind of treasure? The yin-yang god didn't think that Lin Feng's internal universe could be strengthened to the Yuan venerate level all of a sudden. This was completely impossible. The strengthening of an internal universe was done step by step. How could it improve so much all of a sudden? However, there were indeed some treasures that could resist the suppression of an internal universe. In the yin-yang god's opinion, Lin Feng should have obtained such a treasure. It was normal, as he had come prepared. Lin Feng had also come prepared. Does he think that he can win just because his internal universe is not completely suppressed? How foolish. The yin-yang god wasn't worried about Lin Feng's familiar origin sea attack. If he couldn't even defend against a pinnacle chaos treasure. Impossible! Boom. In the depths of his soul, he was struck and whipped. Endless torrential rain poured down like sharp swords, landing directly on the brownish-white mummy. Even though the peak chaos treasure zombie had astonishing defensive capabilities, the power of Lin Feng's origin sea attack gave the yin-yang god a fright. Its power was extremely terrifying. Compared to the previous era, it was a completely different type of attack. If Lin Feng's origin sea attack had been as powerful as it was now, his soul defense treasure would have collapsed long ago, and he himself would have been seriously injured. Block it! The yin-yang god's face was no longer relaxed. Instead, it was replaced by a savage expression. The universe gods beside him looked at the yin-yang god's pained expression and were momentarily at a loss. They hadn't expected the battle to be so intense right from the start. Their opponent was only Huang Zun. Break! Lin Feng's fighting spirit burned fiercely. The rainstorm mirror's power was fully unleashed. The fact that his internal universe wasn't suppressed made Lin Feng much stronger. Before his internal universe was strengthened, the rainstorm mirror and origin sea attacks would have been a battle of endurance, willpower, and fighting spirit to break through the yin-yang god's peak chaos treasure zombie. But now, Lin Feng had the complete upper hand. The powerful impact of the outstanding secret technique, the power source sacred fruit, and the eruption of his perfect origin soul force and origin soul force made it seem as if countless armies were charging at the city gate. Even if the yin-yang god wanted to defend himself, he was powerless. His sole defense relied too much on treasures. It was only his sea of consciousness. Moreover, his internal universe could no longer suppress Lin Feng. His greatest advantage had been exhausted. If they were in the origin universe, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to do anything to the yin-yang god with the support of the will of the heavens. But this was the battlefield of the god world. Without the will of the heavens, the yin-yang god was just an ordinary universe god. No! The yin-yang god was hysterical, his face twisted. Crack! Crack! The peak chaos treasure zombie shattered. Layers of earthy white fragments peeled off. Under the endless torrential rain, it was finally washed away. It wasn't just the soul defense treasure that was destroyed. It was also the yin-yang god's confidence. You've lost. Lin Feng's voice sounded in his ears. The surging waves of the origin sea crazily surged forward. Lin Feng didn't hold back at all because he knew that this was a battle of life and death. If he couldn't kill the yin-yang god, then he would be the one to die. Meteor fall third sky. Dazzling meteors streaked across the sky as stars fell. The yin-yang god's sea of consciousness was battered beyond recognition. Although his will was tenacious, Lin Feng's fighting spirit was even stronger. He attacked without holding back. When enemies met on a narrow path, the brave would emerge victorious. Boom! Bang! The yin-yang god's eyes turned white as his body instantly transformed into ash. In the void, the huge body crashed down like a falling star. The 10 cosmos gods beside him were dumbstruck. They had no idea what had just happened. Their lord, the peak yuan venerate yin-yang god, had actually been killed in a single exchange? Whether it was the origin sea or the origin soul, victory and defeat were decided in an instant. Rise. The moment he killed the yin-yang god, 12 nine-fold nether sand swords flew out of Lin Feng's body and appeared above the yin-yang god at lightning speed. Below him were the 10 universe gods, who had yet to recover from their shock. 12 Teia arrays. The fallen star soul revealed its power and perfectly controlled the origin soul. The 12 Teia arrays were activated and the nether sand swords collided with each other. Pung! 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 The entire area was annihilated by the endless sword chi. Not even bones were left. In the blackboard void, even the universe-devouring bug, which had a defense comparable to an elementary yuan venerate, couldn't withstand the 12 Teia arrays, let alone the 10 universe gods. Without the heavenly great path's will, they were only ordinary peak ultimate gods. In front of Lin Feng, they were like fish on a chopping block. It's over. The nether sand swords flew back into Lin Feng's body, bringing back the treasures of the yin-yang god and the universe gods, including the yin-yang god's famous peak chaos ultimate treasure, the divine royal Qiankuan lock. It's also possible that this is just the beginning. Lin Feng's face was slightly pale. Although he had won the battle cleanly, he had actually done his best. If the yin-yang god hadn't died, he would have been the one to die. Fortunately, he had won. The first universe god. Lin Feng flew toward the mission objective. Chapter 2742. Hongmeng-si, ancient battlefield. Huh. Killer Heart Guanyin wasn't the only one who was stunned. Buddha Heart Shura, who had his eyes closed, was also stunned. Through the Hongmeng source item, he knew what had just happened. Yin-Yang God was dead? He won. Killing Heart Guanyin's overwhelming killing intent filled the air. Her clear eyes were a little dazed at this moment. As far as she knew, the difference in strength between Lin Feng and the Yin-Yang God was enormous. It was already good enough that he was able to keep his life. How could he kill the Yin-Yang God? This was completely illogical. She had already planned to save Lin Feng even if she had to break the rules. Who would have thought that Lin Feng would win? Unbelievable. So, the 30 military merits he obtained on the ancient battlefield are real? Killer Heart Guanyin had thought that Lin Feng had obtained the military merits by luck. Now, it seemed that wasn't the case. If Lin Feng could kill Yin-Yang God, then he would naturally obtain 30 military merit. Impressive. Buddha Heart Azura could not help but praise. Even though he had some complaints about Killer Heart Guanyin's actions, the strength that Lin Feng had displayed this time had indeed made Buddha Heart Azura look at him in a new light. The two of them were the managers of the God World battlefield. Buddha Heart Shura was naturally satisfied that such a powerful newcomer had appeared in the God World battlefield. Moreover, it was only Huang Zun. Sha Xian, you were right about one thing. Buddha Heart Azura opened his eyes and a bright light flashed. Killer Heart Guanyin turned around. He is indeed a good seedling. If there is any danger next time, I will consider saving him, Buddha Heart Shura said slowly. Killer Heart Guanyin sneered. Could you have saved him on the ancient battlefield? Now you are trying to be a good person. Who was the one who wanted to stop me from saving him? What a hypocrite. Besides, do you think Lin Feng still needs you to save him? Killer Heart Guanyin sneered and turned to leave. Cold killing intent filled the air, but the frost on his face had already melted. He couldn't help but reveal a smile, which was especially eye-catching in the midst of the killing intent that filled the sky. Heavenly Law Secret Realm, Universe 7 Godly Inquisition. Impossible. Inside the palace, Xing Jin Great Eternity God roared, his eyes widening in anger. He clenched his fists, and in an instant, his power exploded, wanting to destroy the entire palace. The Yin-Yang God was dead. As the Master Ian God responsible for the divine judgment of the world, Xing Jin was naturally able to sense that the Yin-Yang Great Ian God's life aura had completely vanished. Moreover, before the Yin-Yang Great Ian God died, he had left behind a final message. He was killed by Lin Feng. How could he die? How could Lin Feng kill Yin-Yang? Xing Jin Great Ian God was well aware of the strength of the Yin-Yang Great Ian God. Although he wasn't the strongest among the other 5 great Ian gods of the divine judgment ground, he wasn't weak either. Even without the bestowment of the sky path, he was still a powerful peak Yuan venerate. Furthermore, he was brave and resourceful, and he was cautious in doing things. He had even managed to escape unscathed during the battle of the Taichung deity realm. Later on, he had discovered traces of the human Lin Feng in the Supreme Deity realm battlefield. Therefore, although he hadn't been able to capture and kill Lin Feng in the first battle, Xing Jin Great Ian God didn't blame the Yin-Yang Great Ian God. Instead, he had bestowed him with a sole defensive peak chaos treasure. The Yin-Yang Great Ian God had also made a military pledge that he would succeed. In Xing Jin Great Ian God's opinion, it should have been easy for the Yin-Yang Great Ian God to capture and kill Huang Zun, even if he was a primal chaos origin Huang Zun. After all, when Huang Quan had become an primal chaos origin supreme god, he hadn't been a match for the Yin-Yang Great Ian God. How could he have failed? Furthermore, this wasn't just a failure. He had been completely annihilated. The Great Ian God had actually died at the hands of Huang Zun. Who would believe it if he told others? Swoosh. Swoosh. Eternal God Xing Jin felt a chill run down his spine. It was a kind of inexplicable threat. He seemed to have seen the near future where a primal chaos divinity, who was thousands of times more terrifying than Yellow Spring, would turn Universe 7's godly inquisition upside down. No. I won't allow it. Xingjin Great Ian God gnashed his teeth, his face distorted. The previous incident with Yellow Spring had already caused him to lose face. This time, it was likely to be subversive and 100 times more serious than before. The ancient battlefield. He has already completed the intermediate trial mission and will soon enter the ancient battlefield. Use the same move you used against Yellow Spring to deal with him. Xingjin Great Ian God's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. No matter what price he had to pay, he would kill this human Lin Feng. He would never leave behind any future troubles. He must die. The Saint Gold Great Ian God bit down on the Saint Gold, as if venting his anger. Lines of fine steel began to appear on the surface of the Saint Gold Great Ian God. His hysterical roars reverberated through the palace. Falling Star Tower, top floor. Trial 1, complete. Trial 2, complete. Trial 3 wasn't what he expected. Instead, it was replaced by a bright star-like point of light that seemed to have an inexplicable attraction. Lin Feng followed the map's location and quickly arrived at the point of light. Hua, the newcomer token in his hand, gently vibrated. A vortex suddenly appeared in the dark void. A space door opened within the vortex, as if it was the exit of Falling Star Tower. Oh! Lin Feng was slightly surprised and stepped in. The newcomer token no longer vibrated and returned to normal. Lin Feng felt as if he had jumped out of a well and passed through another world. A vast and boundless land appeared in front of him, vast and boundless. 10 pagodas stood tall like mountain peaks. They were connected as one, as if a complete supreme treasure had been split open from the middle. Each of them was exactly the same as Falling Star Tower. Lin Feng's eyes brightened as he faintly understood. In front of the 10 pagodas, a beautiful figure stood gracefully. She was dressed in a red brocade robe that covered her voluptuous body. She had dozens of pairs of arms that were clear and white. Her fine hair was like a clear river. Her flawless face was like the world's most beautiful work of art. Only her eyes exuded a terrifying killing intent. Even though she had a smile on her face, it could not hide the surging killing intent. It was as though it was imprinted in her bones. How familiar! Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He felt like he had seen this red-robed woman somewhere before. As the thought flashed through his mind, Lin Feng bowed slightly. Lin Feng greets the mighty figure. If he wasn't wrong, this red-robed woman was the killing heart Guanyin that his second senior brother had mentioned. It was difficult to find another person with her unique, killing intent. Don't you recognize me? Killing Heart Guanyin smiled at Lin Feng as her lips parted slightly. Oh! Lin Feng was slightly surprised as he raised his head. The scenes in the military camp surfaced in his mind. Immediately, he was enlightened. Combining the cause and effect, Lin Feng instantly understood everything. He bowed and said, "Thank you for your help, Senior." It was no wonder he kept having the feeling that the top-notch universe warrior resembled a woman. His feeling was not wrong. The person who had helped him back then was Killing Heart Guanyin. Chapter 2743. Thank you for your help that day. Lin Feng was not stupid. That day, Killer Heart Guanyin lowered herself and turned into a top-level universe warrior to help him. It was not a coincidence. She did it on purpose. Although she only helped him exchange for treasures in the armory, it was important enough. Without the rain-painted mirror, the strong source sacred fruit, and the minor source soul fruit, Killer Heart Guanyin would be in the black? During the era of the void, he would not have improved so much and could not have killed the Yin-Yang god. After all, he had entered the black? After the void, he started the battle and carried out the mission. He could not exchange for any treasures. It's good that you remember. Killer Heart Guanyin was not polite. She looked at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes and smiled. You must return this favor to me in the future. Definitely. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. Money was easy to repay, but a favor was hard to repay. As a powerful being, Killer Heart Guanyin did not care about his treasures, even if they were Hongmeng origin items. This favor was most likely related to second senior brother. When the time came, he would return it. After all, second senior brother was on his side and would be easier to talk to. Besides, he did not think second senior brother hated Killer Heart Guanyin. It was just that there were some unknown factors. Okay. Killer Heart Guanyin nodded with satisfaction and turned around. Follow me. After completing the routine identity registration and verification, you will officially become a member of the 7th Universe Army and enter the ancient battlefield. Lin Feng followed and asked curiously, Senior, what is the 7th Universe Army? Is it related to the original universe? Is the purpose of its existence to protect the original universe? Lin Feng had to figure this out. If the purpose of the 7th Universe Army was to protect the original universe, then he was an enemy to the 7th Universe Army. Joining the 7th Universe Army was like sending a lamb to the tiger's mouth. Although he did not think so, it was better to ask. Killer Heart Guanyin opened her red lips and said, It is not what you think, but the 7th Universe Army and the 7th Universe Inquisition do have a relationship. Killer Heart Guanyin knew everything about Lin Feng and knew what Lin Feng meant. Thump! Lin Feng's heart trembled. Hee, a tinkling laughter filled the air with murderous intent. Killing Heart Guanyin glanced at Lin Feng and said, Look at how scared you are. If that's the case, I won't help you. That's true. Lin Feng knew that Killing Heart Guanyin was the manager of the God World battlefield. She was obviously part of the 7th Universe Army. After entering the barracks and carrying out the rookie mission, you should know how many soldiers there are in the 7th Cosmos Army. They far exceed the number of godly venerates and yuan venerates in the original universe, Sha Xian Guanyin said. Lin Feng nodded. The number was too exaggerated. He had entered Camp 18, which had 1,000 small teams and 10,000 universe warriors. All of them had the combat strength of a godly venerate and hundreds of yuan venerate powerhouses. One military camp had as many as 100 military camps and tens of thousands of unit venerables. There were over 10,000 yuan venerate powerhouses in the primal universe. The 7th Mercenary Alliance only had 14 yuan venerate powerhouses despite being one of the 5 great Leviathans. The total number of yuan venerate powerhouses among the 5 Leviathans did not exceed 100. Compared to the 7th Universe Army, it was insignificant. Furthermore, the 7th Universe Army might have more than one barracks. The original universe is the cradle that nurtures the universe warriors, Killing Heart Guanyin said. Under the guidance of the heavenly path, the 7th Universe's divine tribunal will select some outstanding seedlings every era and send them to the 7th Universe Army to be nurtured. This is the composition of the 7th Universe Army. As for those of you who entered from the God World battlefield, you need to reach the combat strength of a yuan venerate before you are qualified to join the 7th Universe Army. Lin Feng suddenly understood. The relationship was not complicated. Could it be that all the powerhouses in the original universe were the leftovers after being selected? Those with the best aptitude had already been selected at birth? Lin Feng could not help but smile bitterly. Initial aptitude does not represent everything. Knowing what Lin Feng was thinking, Killer Heart Guanyin said softly, Opportunities, fate, environment, and various other factors will create powerhouses. Take you for example. Your aptitude is extremely poor, but you are now superior to powerhouses of the same level as Huang Zun. Even godly venerate powerhouses rarely compare to you. Lin Feng did not refute her. In the eyes of Almighties, his aptitude on earth had indeed been extremely poor. Fate makes fools of people. The evolution of the universe is unpredictable and unpredictable. There are countless super powerhouses born from various opportunities. You are not the first, and you will not be the last. It is not that the Seventh Universe Army does not have a good environment, but it is too monotonous and is far from being as exciting as the various lifeforms in the original universe. Therefore, even if you are not born with top-notch aptitude, it does not mean that your future path is sealed. Heaven is fair. Any lifeform, even a small stone or grass, has unlimited possibilities as long as it is a lifeform in the universe. Lin Feng nodded. Xiantian did not represent everything. Killer Heart Guanyin said, "It is easy to become a venerable, but difficult to become an almighty." With the selection of the heavenly will and the resources of the Seventh Universe Army, these geniuses with exceptional aptitude can at least become high-ranking universe warriors as long as they do not fall. However, becoming a top-notch universe warrior depends on luck. It is even more difficult to become a general and have the strength of an almighty. From Yuan Venerate to Almighty, the Seventh Universe Army's promotion ratio is even lower than that of the original universe. Of course, in terms of numbers, the original universe's almighties are naturally not as numerous as the Seventh Universe Army. Therefore, Sir also wants to change. Killer Heart Guanyin seemed to feel that she had said too much and stopped talking. Sir? Lin Feng was slightly shocked. There was actually a Sir above the almighty Killer Heart Guanyin? Based on her accent, this Sir's strength seemed to be above that of an almighty. However, since Killer Heart Guanyin did not continue, Lin Feng would not ask more. There were some things that he would naturally know when it was time. Soon, Killer Heart Guanyin passed through layers of space and Lin Feng arrived in front of a monstrous and imposing palace. This was a palace made of chaos crystals and looked like a crystal pyramid. There was a door of chaos in front of the palace. Place your newcomer token in the depression on the left side of the door and enter the Taichu Palace, Killer Heart Guanyin said. The Taichu Palace will complete your identity registration and verification before you join the Seventh Universe Army. We will meet again. After saying her last sentence, Killer Heart Guanyin left behind a fragrant wind and disappeared. A faint killing intent filled the void. Lin Feng took a deep breath and placed the newcomer token in the depression on the left side of the door of chaos. In an instant, a vortex appeared on the door of chaos and a strong suction force distorted space and time, sucking Lin Feng in. Whoosh. Chapter 2744. The majestic hall stood tall and upright. Lin Feng stood on the cloud-like ground and looked very small. It was as if he was the only person left in this world. In the center of the hall were the words Taichu. This was the Taichu Hall that Xiaoxian Guanyin had mentioned. What a rich chaotic energy! The universe was filled with chaotic energy, which was the best food to absorb and upgrade one's internal universe. However, there were also wisps of faint rainbow-colored air currents mixed in with the chaotic energy here. This was Hongmeng Qi. Like stars, the existence of the primordial energy caused the primal chaos energy to transform to a whole new level. Although the Hongmeng Sea had rich Hongmeng Qi, it wasn't seen in most cases. After all, the entire Hongmeng Sea was a stable existence. It was like a huge puzzle where one couldn't see the various grooves and protrusions on the small pieces of the puzzle. However, Hongmeng Qi could be seen in various mystic realms and special places. For example, the Great Desolate Sky, the Billion Wheel Origin Realm, the Hongmeng Thousand Perception Mountain, and so on. Lin Feng's pores seemed to be breathing. The majestic chaotic energy entered his body and merged with a wisp of Hongmeng Qi, causing violent vibrations in his body as he absorbed it rapidly. Other ultimate venerates and even Yuan venerates couldn't absorb Hongmeng Qi because their internal universes weren't strong enough. Although Lin Feng's internal universe wasn't strong either, it was perfect and could naturally absorb it. However, this wasn't the time to cultivate. There would be plenty of opportunities to upgrade his internal universe after entering the ancient battlefield, so Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. The most important thing now was to complete the identity registration and join the 7th Cosmos Army. The last step, thud. When Lin Feng entered the absolute beginning palace, it was as if he had broken through the clouds. In an instant, countless rays of light shot over from all directions and gathered into a milky white halo around his body. A layer of illusory image that was difficult to distinguish between reality and illusion appeared in front of his eyes. Welcome to the Taichu's 7th Cosmos Army. Submitting information. Please collect your items first. The magnetic voice reverberated in the air. In front of Lin Feng, 3 halos of different colors appeared. They were suspended in a triangular shape. Lin Feng couldn't be more familiar with one of them. It emitted a bright golden light. It was a set of universal armor. As for the other 2 halos, one was a black device that resembled a mechanical wrist, while the other was a crystal token that resembled a rookie token. This should be the Hongmeng token. Lin Feng reached out and took the crystal token. It was covered in a layer of faint energy and contained boundless power. The token was surrounded by a strand of Hongmeng energy. It was a supreme treasure in and of itself. What is this? Lin Feng took the black device that looked like a mechanical wrist guard. It looked like a technological compass, but its energy was different from the Hongmeng token and the universal armor set. Lin Feng was very clear about the rewards for completing the intermediate trial. They were the qualification to enter the ancient battlefield, the universal armor set, and the Hongmeng token. So this is the certificate to enter the ancient battlefield? Lin Feng fiddled with the mechanical wrist device curiously. He couldn't understand it. This had never been mentioned in the primal universe or the Supreme God World battlefield. No, this is the battlefield teleportation device. A voice suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's ears. It startled Lin Feng. He looked at the blurry face in front of him. Clearly, this wasn't his voice. I'm here. The voice sounded like a child. It was cute and lively. Lin Feng's heart stirred as he looked at the Hongmeng token in his right hand. There seemed to be something hidden in the crystal token that was surrounded by Hongmeng energy. You will be able to see me after refining the Hongmeng token. Master, I am the spirit of Hongmeng. The lively voice sounded again. Lin Feng understood. He immediately sent his consciousness into the Hongmeng token and refined it. Hua, the Grand Mist aura from the Grand Mist token instantly fused with the crystal, and the faint glow disappeared. There seemed to be an endless space within the Grand Mist token. With just a glance, one could see that it was boundless. At this moment, a little fairy flapping her transparent wings appeared in front of Lin Feng. She was the size of a butterfly and was beautiful. Master. The lively little fairy smiled sweetly. Every Hongmeng token has the spirit of Hongmeng? Lin Feng asked curiously. Yes, Master, the little fairy replied sweetly. Lin Feng nodded. No wonder he felt different when he came into contact with the Hongmeng token. It was normal for a treasure to evolve a treasure's spirit. However, to be able to evolve every Hongmeng token into a Hongmeng spirit was indeed amazing. However, the Hongmeng Sea was vast. It wasn't surprising that such a method existed. Then what should I call you? Lin Feng asked. We were all named by Master, the little fairy replied obediently. Lin Feng muttered, Since you are the spirit of Hongmeng, I will call you Little Ling. Yes, Master. Little Ling smiled sweetly. Lin Feng raised the black device on his left hand that looked like a mechanical wristband and asked curiously, What is the use of the battlefield teleportation device you mentioned just now? The battlefield teleportation device is used for positioning and teleportation. Little Ling replied obediently. Before Master becomes a warlord, you cannot break through the wall of time and enter the Hongmeng Sea. Using the battlefield teleportation device, you can travel between the original universe and the Hongmeng Sea. Break through the wall of time and enter the Hongmeng Sea. Lin Feng suddenly understood. The ancient battlefield was in the Hongmeng Sea. He didn't have such means before becoming a powerful being. If he could easily leave the original universe and enter the Hongmeng Sea, Elder Nether wouldn't have died in the original universe that day. How do I use this? Lin Feng fiddled with the battlefield teleportation device. Master only needs to set the coordinates of the barracks and the original universe and press the teleportation button to use it, Little Guai replied. The battlefield teleportation device consumes Hongmeng energy crystals. It can be exchanged in the armory. Where is the armory? Lin Feng had always been interested in the armory. The treasures that Killer Heart Guanyin had helped him exchange were exchanged in the armory. Now that he had a lot of military merits and 30 military merits, he should be able to exchange them for many treasures. The armory is in the Hongmeng world, Little Ling replied. The Hongmeng world? Lin Feng was puzzled. Is it in the Hongmeng Sea? A virtual world? It's not a virtual world, Little Ling replied. The Hongmeng world is a real world. Master can treat the Hongmeng Sea as the bottom of a tower, and the Hongmeng world as the top of the tower. This is a projected world. Lin Feng thought for a moment. So, the Hongmeng world contains all of the life in the Hongmeng Sea? You can say that, but you need a Hongmeng token to enter the Hongmeng world. Little Ling smiled sweetly. Moreover, the Hongmeng world has its own rules of operation. Master, with your current status, you can't leave the barracks, let alone the Taichu continent. Lin Feng smiled. Compared to the Hongmeng Sea, his current status was indeed insignificant. Just as he was about to ask more questions, the blurry face in front of him said in a magnetic voice, "Your information has been submitted. Your identity has been registered. Your military number is 07-004-018-10086. Immediately teleport to the ancient battlefield." Before the voice even finished speaking, Lin Feng felt a powerful suction force and instantly disappeared. Chapter 2745. I'm back. The moment he returned to the barracks, Lin Feng felt extremely relaxed. This was something he didn't feel in the original universe. Even in the God World battlefield, where the will of the heavens couldn't descend, there was always a strong sense of danger and oppression. This was because Universe 7's godly inquisition was like a maggot attached to a bone, pestering him endlessly. Although Lin Feng didn't think that Universe 7's godly inquisition would let him go if he left the original universe, at least compared to the original universe, this place was much safer. Currently, he was in a square fortress-like building made of strange metals. The surroundings were connected with oval-shaped tunnels that carried out space teleportation. The top was transparent, and when he looked up, he could see the chaotic energy pervading the air. The void was endless. There were dozens of different high-level universe soldiers around him. They were all wearing universal armor. Some were sitting on the ground, some were leaning against the metal walls, and some were gathered in groups of 3 to 5. The one with the strongest aura was a proud and aloof youth sitting in the corner. He was like a sheathed sword. From time to time, there would be gazes with indifference, disregard, and even some disdain. Lin Feng was very familiar with such gazes. Previously, when he completed the rookie mission, he had already tasted it. The members of Universe 7's army were often arrogant and xenophobic. They looked down on the high-level universe soldiers promoted from the God World battlefield. This xenophobic mentality had been around for a long time. Because they were born with overflowing talent, they were selected by the will of the heavens to enter Universe 7's army. In other words, those who weren't selected were actually ordinary people. How could geniuses look up to ordinary people? Moreover, the high-level universe soldiers promoted from the God World battlefield were independent and didn't follow military discipline. In the endless years, they had caused a lot of trouble. As the saying goes, 3 feet of ice wasn't formed in a day. Lin Feng didn't care. If they looked down on him, then so be it. What is this place, Ling? Lin Feng was a bit confused. After completing the rookie verification and registration, shouldn't he directly enter the 4th barracks, the 18th barracks? Why was he teleported here? This is the waiting area, Master. Xiao Ling's gentle voice resounded in his mind. Unless there's a special circumstance, every army camp will be filled with new people once every era. The ones waiting here are all high-level universe warriors who are about to enter Camp 18. I see. Lin Feng quickly understood. How much longer? Lin Feng asked. 1281, Master, Xiao Ling replied clearly. Lin Feng nodded. That was still fast, a large half of a great era already passed. Among the venerable ones, cultivation was measured in epoch. Normally, thousands of years would pass in the blink of an eye. Previously, when he carried out the newcomer mission, just the spatial teleportation alone took him hundreds of years. Hello. A smiling man walked over from afar. His face was slightly large, and his upper jaw was sharp. There were patterns on his face, and his tail was wrapped around his waist. Although he was wearing a universal armor set, his figure was relatively thin. Oh! Lin Feng was rather surprised. He didn't expect someone to come over and greet him. He smiled and replied, "Hello?" Surprised? The painted man smiled. Actually, I'm also from the battlefield of the Supreme God Realm. My title is Divine Venerate Xing Tian, but there is no distinction between Divine Venerates and Yuan Venerates here. You can just call me Xing Tian. Lin Feng. After entering the ancient battlefield, Lin Feng changed back to his original name. His identity had already been exposed. Even if he changed his appearance, the 7th Universe's godly tribunal would be able to find out. Thus, there was no need to hide it. Brother Lin actually passed the trial with Huang Zun's strength. I admire you. Xing Tian's eyes were like torches. He could sense Lin Feng's aura. Anyone who could complete the trial of the Supreme God Realm battlefield was extraordinary. Otherwise, the 7th Universe's army wouldn't have made an exception to recruit him. It was luck, Lin Feng said modestly. When did you come, Brother Xing? More than 6,000 years before you, Brother Lin. Xing Tian sat down beside Lin Feng. He was very friendly, as if he had met an old friend in a foreign land. It's rare for two people to complete the trial of the Supreme God Realm battlefield in one epoch. If Brother Lin had completed it 2,000 years later, we wouldn't have been able to meet. Lin Feng smiled. After this epoch, he would enter the 19th military camp. High-level universe warriors who came from the Supreme God Realm battlefield were assigned to military camps according to order. Brother Lin, how did the newbie mission go? Xing Tian asked enthusiastically. It should be not bad, Lin Feng said. Xing Tian's eyes lit up. There's a reward, right? Yes. Lin Feng nodded. After killing the 3 universe-devouring queen bugs, he was indeed rewarded with 30 military credits. Good. Xing Tian clenched his fists and laughed. Brother Lin, you may not know this, but the newbie mission isn't just about adapting to the 7th Universe's army. More importantly, it's about evaluating a newbie's ability. If a newbie completes the mission and earns 1 military credit, he can join the elite team of that military camp. Lin Feng was surprised. There's such a thing? Xing Tian said. The cultivators who came from the Supreme God Realm battlefield are often outstanding in all aspects. Just the final trial alone is thousands of times more difficult than the preliminary army selection. Under normal circumstances, 8 out of 10 people who complete the newbie mission will be rewarded with military credit. Lin Feng believed this. The promotion requirements of the Falling Star Tower alone were extremely harsh. Every person who completed the trial had to be outstanding in all aspects. All of them had gone through harsh life and death trials. Although the newbies of the 7th Universe's army had better training conditions, they hadn't experienced the ups and downs of life and death. In many aspects, they weren't as good as the elites from the Supreme God Realm battlefield. Talent didn't mean everything. Do you see these cold eyes? Xing Tian sneered. They're all jealous. They're just filling the gap in the 7th Universe's army from the preliminary army. They're not like us, who can directly enter the elite team. But as far as I know, 1 or 2 of them can also enter the elite team. Xing Tian's eyes swept over them and frowned. He obviously regarded them as competitors. Is the elite team good? Lin Feng asked curiously. Previously, the captain had mentioned that he could definitely enter the elite team after completing the newbie mission. However, he didn't take it seriously because he had to fight the Yin-Yang god. Now, he could carefully choose. Although he had formed deep friendships with Captain Emoli, Jianzhuli, and Ma Tuo during the newbie mission, there were more benefits if he joined the elite team. Under the same circumstances, his own development was more important. Of course, the elite team is good. The 18th Army Camp has 1,000 teams and only 10 elite teams. 100 elites is equivalent to 1 in 100. What do you think? Xing Tian's eyes were bright. If you join an elite team, not only will you receive better benefits, but most importantly, you will be able to carry out better missions and obtain more military merits and battle merit. Then, you can use the military merits and battle merits to strengthen yourself and carry out more difficult missions. This is how the gap widens. Lin Feng nodded. This was true. Like a snowball, the gap slowly widened. Chapter 2746. Apart from the elite teams, are there any special forces? Lin Feng suddenly remembered. Captain Emoli had mentioned this to him before, and the general of the 4th camp, Green Feather God, had also told him to look for him directly after entering the ancient battlefield. However, he was surrounded by newcomers, so he didn't know where to find Green Feather God. Yes. Xing Tian nodded with a look of longing. The Divine Feather Army is the elite of the elite. The elites of the 100 barracks of the 4th camp are all here, but the conditions to enter are extremely harsh. There are only 100 spots, which is equivalent to 1 spot per barrack. Xing Tian glanced into the distance at the arrogant youth sitting cross-legged in the corner. He was like a treasured sword that had been sealed in its scabbard. Xing Tian's gaze was wary. Among the new recruits of the reserve army, there's a super genius Bujin. Entering the Divine Feather Army is like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Xing Tian sighed. The best treasures, the best cultivation environment, the best choice of missions, and the best in every aspect. 100 eras ago, a super powerhouse called Qing Yu appeared in the Supreme God battlefield. After completing the newcomer mission, he was rewarded with 10 military merits and was recruited into the Divine Feather Army. Xing Tian's tone was full of envy. His current strength has already reached the peak of the Yuan Venerate. 10 military merits? Lin Feng was stunned. Little Ling, how many military merits do I have? He asked. 30 military merits, Master. Xiao Ling's clear voice rang out. Therefore, I didn't reward you with any military merit. Lin Feng pondered. He hadn't been rewarded with 1 or 10 military merit. It seemed like he didn't meet the conditions to join the elite teams and couldn't enter the Divine Feather Army. Could it be that he already had military merits, so he wasn't rewarded? That was possible. According to Xing Tian, he didn't have any military merit. However, he had been rewarded with 1 military merit because he had completed the newcomer mission well. His completion rate should have been higher, so 30 military merits was enough to prove that he could at least enter the elite teams. Captain Emoli had mentioned this before. Therefore, he shouldn't have been rewarded with any military merit. Joining the Divine Feather Army. People always wanted to climb higher. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't waste the opportunity to join the Divine Feather Army. After all, the best cultivation conditions and resources could help him improve his strength quickly. Only when you are strong enough can you protect yourself. Lin Feng was well aware of this. After chatting with Xing Tian for a while, it wasn't boring. Xing Tian came from one of the 5 great Leviathans, the Space 30,000 Great Leviathans. In fact, Many powerhouses from the 5 great Leviathans had ventured into the battlefield of the supreme god realm. Many Yuan venerates had also joined the 7th cosmos. After 10,000 eras of military service in Universe 7, you can leave. Every 1 military contribution point could reduce 10 eras. Of course, the advantages of joining the 7th Universe Army far outweighed the disadvantages. In the original universe, regardless of whether it was treasures or knowledge, how could one compare to the 7th Universe Army, which dominated the Hongmeng Sea? There was a huge difference in strength between Yuan Venerate powerhouses who had joined the 7th Cosmos Army and those who had not. From Xing Tian, Lin Feng learned a lot about the 7th Universe Army. For example, the 7th Universe Army had a total of 32 barracks, and each barracks had 100 barracks. The regular army had always maintained a stable number. Every era, there would be many high-level and top-tier universe warriors dying or leaving. Every era, the same amount of high-level universe warriors would be replenished, so the reserve army was quite large. The selection process to join the regular army every era was quite intense. However, intensity and desperation were 2 different things. Compared to the death-elimination system of the Supreme God World Battlefield, it paled in comparison. Time passed very quickly. After that, a few high-level universe warriors came in one after another from the various passageways. In the end, the number was fixed at 101, which meant that 101 universe warriors had died or left Camp 18 in this era. The renewal rate was relatively high. Camp 18 had a total of 10,000 universe warriors, which was equivalent to 1% of the total number of universe warriors every era. Whoosh! Beams of laser light lit up in the fortress, and the metal barrier emitted a slight vibrating sound. Following that, the passageways closed one by one, and a circular halo appeared in front of them. Space energy was condensed. Whoosh! 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 2 figures appeared from the halo. The leader was 5 meters tall, had a cold steel-like face, and was squarish. There were clear military ranks on his universal armor. He was a 10-star top-tier universe warrior. The blonde woman beside him was also a 10-star top-tier universe warrior. The leader of a camp was an 11-star top-tier universe warrior. However, recruiting new people was a small matter, and it happened every era. Naturally, they wouldn't lower themselves and let a 10-star top-tier universe warrior be in charge of it. New people, first of all, welcome to the 7th Universe Army, 4th Army Camp, number 18 Camp. The cold steel-like man's body was like steel, speaking firmly and firmly. The 101 high-level universe warriors stood straight and listened respectfully. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Most of them had been waiting for this day for a long time. Let's not talk too much. Follow the military rules and regulations. If there are any violations, there will be severe punishment. The cold steel-like man's gaze swept across the high-level universe warriors, and finally landed on Lin Feng and Xing Tian. It was obvious that he was referring to something. New people who came from the Supreme God World Battlefield were usually the most unrestrained. Finally, after hearing the bugle call out here, we'll allocate the teams. The cold steel-like man said, and his gaze landed on the left. The blonde woman on the left had thin scales on her face. Her eyebrows were white, but it didn't affect her looks. Bugle call 07-004-018-17729. The blonde woman's expression was calm as she took out a record book. Here. Team 129. Bugle call 07-004-018-20348. Here. Team 466. Bugle call 07-004-018-16722. Here. When the bugle call was called out, everyone's faces were filled with excitement, but there were also many who were slightly disappointed. This was because every one of them wanted to join teams 1 to 10. This was the most elite team in the 18th Army Camp. However, it was rare to be able to join an elite team. Very quickly, 97 bugles were called out, and the 97 new people joined the team. The remaining 4 new people who weren't called out included Lin Feng and Xing Tian, who came from the Supreme God World battlefield. The surrounding gazes were filled with jealousy and complexity. Bugle Call 07-004-0188977. Here. Elite Team 8. Following the blonde woman's voice, a demon race youth's eyes lit up. He clenched his fist tightly and grinned. He was in an extremely good mood. The difference between joining an elite team and a normal team was too big. Bugle Call 07-004-0189535. Here. Xing Tian's voice beside Lin Feng was especially loud, revealing a tinge of arrogance. It was as though he was showing off to the other new recruits. So what if they didn't like them from the Supreme God World battlefield? Elite Team 5. We are stronger than you. Chapter 2747. The elite teams were also divided into different levels. The first elite team was naturally the best, while the 10th elite team was the weakest. The demon youth had joined the 8th elite team, while Xing Tian had joined the 5th elite team. There was no doubt that he was better. However, Xing Tian was also slightly surprised. He didn't expect that his new friend, Lin Feng, would announce the military number later than him. What did this mean? This meant that the elite team that Lin Feng had joined was ahead of him. The difference wasn't that big. What really surprised Xing Tian was that Lin Feng was only Huang Zun. However, Xing Tian was still very proud. He and Lin Feng both came from the battlefield of the Supreme God World. Feeling the envious gazes of the reserve army newbies, he felt very comfortable. So what if he's innately better than us? Now, didn't they still lose to us? Military number 070040186909. The blonde woman's expression didn't change. It was as if this was a normal thing to her. She continued to announce the next military number. At this time, the arrogant youth responded indifferently. Super Genius, Bujin. Among this batch of reserve army newbies, it was said that the chances of entering the Feather God Army were extremely high. The second elite team. The blonde woman's gaze changed slightly. At this time, Bujin's cold eyebrows moved slightly, revealing a slight disappointment. He didn't expect that not only would he not be able to enter the Feather God Army, he wouldn't even be able to squeeze into the first elite team. Bujin. The Frost Iron Man suddenly spoke. Raising his head, Bujin pursed his lips and looked at the Frost Iron Man. He didn't change his expression because he was a top-tier universe warrior. He was like an arrogant sword. Everything had nothing to do with him. He only cared about himself. With your strength, you can definitely enter the first elite team. You even have a 10 to 20% chance of entering the Feather God Army. However, you have to change your personality. The Frost Iron Man said coldly. It seemed like he was explaining, but also persuading. He didn't say anything else. Bujin didn't respond, nor did he reply. He was still calm. Lin Feng looked over. Bujin also turned his head. Like a peerless sword unsheathed, he pointed it at Lin Feng. He didn't like to talk, but that didn't mean he didn't know anything. Out of the 101 rookies present, only Lin Feng had not received the bugle call. At this time, the second elite team had also joined. In other words, the newbie who reported last would at least join the second elite team, or even the strongest elite team in the 18th camp. Military number 07004018100086. As the blonde woman's voice sounded, the surrounding pairs of eyes focused on Lin Feng. They were more jealous and envious than when they looked at Xing Tian. Even Xing Tian was shocked and envious. He never expected that Lin Feng would be the finale of the 101 rookies. You can't judge a book by its cover. A Huang Zun expert actually had such inconceivable strength. Here. On the contrary, Lin Feng was the calmest. Divine Feather Army. The golden-haired lady looked over. Even though she was a 10-star Pinnacle Universe warrior, she couldn't join the Feather God Army. That was where all the elites of the 100 camps of the 4th Army gathered. There were gasps from the crowd. Pairs of shocked eyes looked at Lin Feng. They were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. That was the Divine Feather Army that everyone yearned to join. In the Reserve Army, it had been mentioned countless times by the instructors. It was the goal of every rookie. But it was too difficult for rookies to join the Divine Feather Army. Even Ru Jin, who was brimming with talent, stood above everyone in the 4th Reserve Army. No rookie could compare to him, but in the end, he only managed to enter the 2nd elite team. Now, this Huang Zun rookie from the God World battlefield had broken the rules and entered the Divine Feather Army. It was unbelievable. Congratulations, Brother Lin. Xing Tian's eyes widened. He was filled with envy. He guessed that Lin Feng might be very powerful, but he didn't expect him to be so powerful that he could be comparable to the super genius Qing Yu from 100 eras ago. But at that time, Qing Yu was the invincible ultimate god, and Lin Feng was only Huang Zun. Clap! 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 There was sparse applause. Although some of the rookies in the reserve army were unhappy, since this was a rookie from the God World battlefield and not from here, it was obvious that he relied on his true strength. It was impossible for the registration and verification of rookies to go wrong. To be able to enter the Divine Feather Army not only meant that Lin Feng had great potential, but it also meant that he was quite strong. There were no weaklings in the Divine Feather Army. Chi. A sharp gaze shot over. The super rookie from the reserve army, Bo Jin, clearly saw Lin Feng as an opponent. He was almost invincible in the reserve army, so he naturally wouldn't admit defeat. The reason why he couldn't enter the Divine Feather Army was because he lost in personality. His strength wasn't far off. "Sir, I have a question," Lin Feng suddenly said. "Speak." The Frost Iron Man's expression was normal. Compared to before, he was a bit more amiable. Although his military rank was higher than Lin Feng's, in terms of status, he was actually inferior to Lin Feng. Perhaps he was slightly stronger than Lin Feng, but after joining the Divine Feather Army, it wouldn't be long before Lin Feng surpassed him and left him in the dust. "I want to see the Green Feather God." Lin Feng's words shocked everyone. The Frost Iron Man and the golden-haired woman were stunned and looked at each other. The rookies around them also started to hiss. Who was the Green Feather God? He was an almighty. The boss of the 4th Army wasn't someone a rookie could meet just because he wanted to. The Frost Iron Man was momentarily at a loss for words. He muttered, "After you join the Divine Feather Army, you should have the opportunity to meet him. You don't have to be too anxious." In the Frost Iron Man's opinion, it was natural for a rookie to have someone to worship if he wanted to meet the strongest person in the 4th Army. Which rookie didn't want to meet the legendary super expert of the 4th Army? It's not like that. Lin Feng immediately knew that the Frost Iron Man had misunderstood. He said, "It was Lord Green Feather God who told me to look for him after entering the ancient battlefield. But I don't know where to find him." There was a dead silence. The rookies were dumbfounded. The rookies who were jeering at Lin Feng were now shocked and their hearts were beating fast. Did they hear wrongly? Lord Green Feather God wanted a rookie to look for him? How was this possible? The Frost Iron Man and the golden-haired woman were also deeply moved. They looked at each other. They naturally didn't think that Lin Feng was lying. This kind of lie was easily exposed. No one was that stupid. But if what Lin Feng said was true, don't tell me Lord Green Feather God wants you to join Qing Feng? The Frost Iron Man's voice was trembling. He looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. The golden-haired woman beside him was also extremely shocked. Qing Feng. The surroundings were silent. Chapter 2748. Qing Feng, a legendary name. If the Feather God Army was the elite of the elites, then Qing Feng was the super elite of the Feather God Army. It represented the highest combat power of the Fourth Army. The 7 disciples of Qing Feng were said to have the power of an almighty. They carried out the most difficult missions and were the closest and most trusted subordinates of the Green Feather God. They were the ultimate trump cards of the Fourth Army. I don't think so. The golden-haired woman hesitated and said to the Cold Iron Man, "The 7 sons of Green Wind have followed the Green Feather God for a long time. They have never made any mistakes, nor have there been any negative news. Moreover, the 7 spots have been fixed long ago. Also, there has never been a precedent of a newcomer joining Qing Feng. The 7 disciples of Qing Feng were all promoted from the Feather God Army." The man nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe I'm thinking too much." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Lord Green Feather God only told me to find him. He didn't say anything else." From the 2 10-star universe warriors, Lin Feng could tell that Qing Feng wasn't normal. They were even more elite than the Feather God Army. He was strong, but there was always someone stronger. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the Fourth Army. There were plenty of people stronger than him. He might not be able to win against the 2 10-star warriors in front of him. He had more or less been lucky when he killed the Yin-Yang God. Lin Feng didn't think he was qualified to join the 4th Camp's elite Qing Feng. However, Lin Feng didn't think he would have a problem joining the Feather God Army. 10 military points could get him into the Feather God Army. He had gotten 30 points from killing the universe-devouring Queen Bug. "Okay, there's no rush. You can join the Feather God Army first. It won't be too late to meet Lord Green Feather God," the man said. "Okay." Lin Feng nodded. The Feather God Army was the super elite of the Fourth Army. Although they weren't as close as the 7 disciples of Qing Feng, it wasn't hard to meet Lord Green Feather God. Coincidentally, Lord Green Feather God is leading the Feather God Army on a mission. "When the Feather God Army returns, you can meet Lord Green Feather God," the man said. Lin Feng was slightly surprised and nodded. As the elites of the 4th Barracks, it was normal for them to carry out missions. "My military number is 07-004-018-10086. Follow me," the frost steel-clad man said to Lin Feng. He then swept his gaze across the other rookies. "The rest of the rookies will follow Officer Qing and report to Barak 18. "Yes, sir." The loud voices of the 100 rookies could be heard from below as they looked at Lin Feng with envious gazes. This included Xing Tian and the Demon Youth, who had entered the elite team. Although they had entered the elite team, they were still in the 18th military camp. But Lin Feng had directly entered the 4th camp. Special Forces, Feather God Army. The Divine Feather Army could be said to be the cornerstone of the 4th Barrack. All of the important missions, big and small, were carried out by the Divine Feather Army. They had to follow Green Feather God and Green Edge on extremely dangerous missions, and also lead the other barracks and elite squads to carry out important missions. Therefore, the Divine Feather Army was rather famous in the 4th Barrack. It was even more famous than Green Edge. Green Edge was even more famous because of his mysterious identity. He was the trusted aide of Lord Green Feather God. In terms of mission completion, Green Edge's reputation was far inferior to the Divine Feather Army's. Joining the Divine Feather Army was the dream of every rookie in the 4th Reserve Army, but very few could realize it. This included the 2 10-star universe warriors before him. Although they were members of the elite squad of Barak 18 and had high-level Yuan Venerate fighting strength, they still couldn't enter the Divine Feather Army. There were too many top-notch universe warriors like them in the 4th Barrack. Divine Feather Army. Lin Feng was also looking forward to it. He followed the frost steel-clad man and left the waiting area quickly and entered the teleportation channel. This was already within the boundaries of the ancient battlefield. Through the fixed teleportation channel, they could enter the various barracks and even the Divine Feather Army's encampment. Divine Feather Ridge. Although Lin Feng really wanted to go to Barak 18 to greet Captain Emoli, Jian Hengli, Shi Wen and the others and catch up on old times, this wasn't the right time. He couldn't let a 10-star universe warrior wait for him. In any case, the Divine Feather Army was also in the 4th barrack. There would be plenty of time to meet after he joined, so he wasn't in a hurry. My name is Yun Tai. The cold-looking frost steel-clad man took the initiative to introduce himself to Lin Feng. I am part of the 1st Elite Squad of Barak 18. Lin Feng. Lin Feng introduced himself. He was also surprised, as he didn't know what this meant. Yun Tai glanced at Lin Feng and said, "As far as I know, no one in the Divine Feather Army comes from Barak 18. The Divine Feather Army had a total of 100 universe warriors. The 4th barracks had 100 barracks. On average, one Divine Feather Army warrior corresponded to one barrack. It was normal that some barracks didn't have any Divine Feather Army warriors. Lin Feng's heart trembled. He faintly understood. Yun Tai said, hence, when the time comes, some of the missions assigned to Barak 18 might be led by Brother Lin. In the waiting area, it was the relationship between a senior officer and a newcomer. But out of the waiting area, it wasn't. Yun Tai was very clear that after joining the Divine Feather Army, Lin Feng would be his superior. Especially in the Divine Feather Army, only Lin Feng came from Barak 18. Although Lin Feng wasn't as strong as him now, and was only Huang Zun, but what was important in the army? Strength and military discipline. When the time comes, many of the missions would definitely be led by Lin Feng. It wasn't wrong to build a good relationship now. However, Yun Tai still couldn't relax. Hence, he still addressed Lin Feng as an equal. I don't have the strength. Lin Feng smiled humbly. Let him lead the elite squad of Barak 18 to complete the mission? That was too long-term. Brother Lin, after joining the Divine Feather Army, you will have the best resources and conditions. You will also have the guidance and help of other soldiers in the Divine Feather Army. It won't be difficult for you to improve your strength. Soon, you will be able to ride the waves and achieve. Yun Tai was suddenly at a loss for words. He originally wanted to say that he would achieve the position of a peak Yuan Venerate, but after thinking about it, he felt that it wasn't right. Lin Feng was still Huang Zun. If he wanted to achieve anything, he would be a peak ultimate god. But peak ultimate god? Weren't all the newcomers in the reserve army peak ultimate god? Lin Feng smiled and didn't mind. He took the initiative to resolve Yun Tai's awkwardness. Thank you for your kind words, Brother Tai. It wasn't a bad thing to get to know another top-notch universe warrior. Yun Tai's position in Barak 18 was quite high. Just the fact that he belonged to the 1st Elite Squad meant that he had a high status. You're welcome. Yun Tai smiled. Xing Tian has just joined the Elite Squad. I'll have to trouble Brother Tai to take care of him. Everyone had come out from the God Realm battlefield. Xing Tian wasn't a bad person, so Lin Feng also helped him. Well said. Yun Tai nodded. Lin Feng and Yun Tai got along well with each other along the way. They had the intention to get to know each other and help each other. Soon, they passed through the teleportation channel and entered the center of the 4th Barak. Divine Feather Ridge. Chapter 2749. The Feather God Ridge was where the Feather God Army was stationed. Although the Feather God Army only had 100 universe warriors, the Feather God Ridge occupied a relatively large area of the 4th Army. It was comparable to several military camps. The Feather God Ridge was vast and boundless, and rich chaotic energy permeated the land. I will see you off here, Brother Lin. See you again. Yun Tai didn't dare violate military discipline and enter the Feather God Ridge without permission. He left the teleportation channel and bid Lin Feng farewell. All right. Lin Feng bid farewell to Yun Tai and stepped into the Feather God Ridge. He would be staying here for a long time. As he stepped in, a resonance came from below the Feather God Ridge. It was as though there was a magnetic force there. Suddenly, an unusually powerful aura appeared to probe him. Peak Yuan Venerate. Lin Feng could sense the tyrannical aura of the other party. It was even stronger than the yin-yang god he had killed. This was the center of the Fourth Army, where the Feather God Army was stationed. Every member of the Feather God Army had the strength of a Peak Yuan Venerate. Furthermore, they were probably the cream of the crop among Peak Yuan Venerates. The yin-yang god couldn't compare to them. However, hadn't the Feather God Army gone to carry out a mission? Whoosh! As he was thinking about this, time and space distorted before him. An old man in casual robes appeared. He had sparse hair on his head and a smile on his face. When he saw Lin Feng, he bowed slightly. "I am Elder Yu, the steward of the Feather God Ridge," the old man introduced himself. "Hello, Elder Yu." Lin Feng returned the greeting. "My military number is 07-004-018-10086. Lin Feng, right? Please follow me." Elder Yu was very polite. After confirming Lin Feng's identity, he waved his sleeves and led the way. Lin Feng followed. The Feather God Ridge was huge. Along the way, Elder Yu patiently introduced every part of the Feather God Ridge, including the training grounds, cultivation grounds, and residences of the Feather God Army. As Elder Yu led Lin Feng away from the residences of the 100 Feather God Army soldiers, Lin Feng was slightly surprised. His residence wasn't here? After passing through a bamboo forest, they soon arrived at a spacious area. There were dozens of semi-oval-shaped battle rooms, a few of which were shining with a faint fluorescent light. "Please choose a place to stay." Elder Yu narrowed his eyes and said politely. Lin Feng's gaze swept across the dozens of battle rooms. There was nothing special about them. He casually pointed at one and said, "Over there." Old Yu nodded and waved his aged hand, opening the door to the battle room. "The military signal has been entered. This will be your residence from now on. If you need anything, just look for this old man. I hope to see you here after 100 eras, little fellow Huang Zun." After he finished speaking, the smile on old Yu's face became distorted and his aged figure suddenly disappeared. "Little fellow Huang Zun?" Lin Feng smiled bitterly. The Feather God Ridge was indeed the Feather God Ridge. Just the old steward alone was a Peak Yuan Venerate powerhouse. One could imagine how strong the other 100 soldiers of the Feather God Army were. Previously, in the waiting area, Xing Tian had mentioned that a super newcomer, Qing Yu, had entered the Feather God Army 100 eras ago and was now a Peak Yuan Venerate. However, it seemed like he still hadn't officially joined the Feather God Army. Lin Feng entered his residence. The battle room was rather spacious and was comparable to a duel arena. The chaotic energy was also particularly abundant, so cultivation was much easier. The 7th Cosmos Army's military discipline and rules were clearly engraved on the metal walls. Lin Feng had already memorized these rules. Joining the 7th Cosmos Army was something that had to be done. Countdown to 100 eras. Lin Feng stared at the eye-catching screen as the rules for joining the Feather God Army were clearly listed below. 1. Accumulate 10,000 military merit. 2. Complete 3 dangerous grade missions or 1 disaster grade mission. 3. Set foot on the 7th level of the dual pole tower in Hongmeng. Complete all these tasks within 100 eras and you will officially join the Feather God Army. Seems like it won't be easy. Although Lin Feng didn't understand the difficulty of these missions, it was obvious that these weren't ordinary missions. The number of soldiers in the Feather God Army was fixed. Every new recruit meant that one soldier would be eliminated. Of course, the death of a soldier of the Feather God Army was another matter. Based on the rankings, accumulating 10,000 military merits is the easiest. Lin Feng already had 30 military merit. For a newcomer, this wasn't bad. However, for a soldier of the Feather God Army, each one of them should be able to easily obtain 10,000 military merits. Accumulating military merits wasn't difficult. Although Lin Feng didn't know how to earn military merits quickly, He was confident that he could accumulate 10,000 military merits within 100 eras. As for the second and third rules, he didn't understand them at all. Dangerous grade missions, disaster grade missions. Lin Feng knew where to accept the missions. The ancient battlefield, the military camp, and the Hongmeng realm were closely related. The Hongmeng realm was a miniature version of the entire Hongmeng Sea. Through the Hongmeng token, one could enter the Hongmeng realm. Little Ling, Lin Feng said, and the Hongmeng token flashed. I want to enter the Hongmeng realm. Yes, master. Little Ling's clear voice sounded. The Hongmeng token flashed brightly and resonated with Lin Feng. Instantly, Lin Feng's body changed. It was as if he was being sucked in by a huge suction force. He disappeared from the battle room in an instant. The Hongmeng realm wasn't a virtual world. It existed in reality. Lin Feng naturally wanted to enter the Hongmeng realm. On one hand, the Hongmeng dual towers were all in the Hongmeng realm. On the other hand, he had been looking forward to entering the Hongmeng realm for a long time. The experts gathered here weren't the experts of the primal universe. They were the experts of the entire Hongmeng Sea. Of course, with his current level of authority, he couldn't see the experts of the entire Hongmeng Sea. According to Little Ling, he couldn't even leave the military camp, let alone leave the Taichu continent. In the Hongmeng Sea, Lin Feng was a complete newcomer. Will there be any danger here, Little Ling? This was the first time Lin Feng had entered the Hongmeng realm. He felt a sense of novelty, as if he had transmigrated from one world to another. He couldn't sense any energy aura here, so it was impossible to cultivate here. However, even if there was no energy, as long as one's strength and soul were strong enough, they could still kill other cultivators. Fighting is forbidden in the Hongmeng realm. Those who violate it will be killed by the supreme law, Little Ling said. No exceptions? Lin Feng was surprised. Even the masters of the universe are treated the same. As the spirit of Hongmeng, Little Ling was most familiar with the Hongmeng realm. The Hongmeng realm is governed by 5 world masters, but even they can't violate the supreme law. Lin Feng nodded. From the looks of it, the Hongmeng realm was safe. It was even safer than the Hongmeng Sea. Not necessarily. Lin Feng thought for a moment and immediately rejected the idea. If the Inquisition of Universe 7's Grand Eternity God wanted to kill him, he might succeed. After all, even if the Supreme Law could kill him, it couldn't be instantaneous. I still have to be careful, Lin Feng thought. Little Ling, introduce the Hongmeng realm to me. Chapter 2750. Lin Feng was very curious about the Hongmeng world. Lin Feng also yearned for the Hongmeng Sea. Although his teacher, the Taichung Patriarch, had said that when he became a godly venerate, his internal universe would be comparable to a peak Yuan venerate and he would be able to explore the Hongmeng Sea, Lin Feng was now confident that he could start exploring. Under the pressure of Universe 7's divine judgment, his strength had improved faster than expected. Yes, Master, Xiaoling replied obediently. The Hongmeng world is a projection of the Hongmeng Sea. To be precise, it is a miniature version of the Hongmeng Sea. You can enter the Hongmeng world from any part of the Hongmeng Sea. Master, you are now in the Taichu continent, which corresponds to all the territories of the Taichu Chaos Universe. Lin Feng nodded. He had known this information after entering the ancient battlefield. The original universe, which was also Universe 7, was naturally not the only universe in the Hongmeng Sea. There were too many universes in the Hongmeng Sea, including universes of Almighties, universes that had been destroyed, and the largest Origin Chaos Universe. The Taichu Universe was the Origin Chaos Universe. The full name of Universe 7 was the Taichu 7th Chaos Universe because it was born from the Taichu Origin Chaos Universe. It evolved step by step from a super black hole to a 1 in a billion chance of transforming into a chaos universe. There were 18 universes like Universe 7. The Taichu Origin Chaos Universe was the mother universe and gave birth to 18 child universes. The Taichu origin chaos universe's heavenly Tao and chaos law were perfect, but each child universe was different. For example, Universe 7's soul heavenly Tao was incomplete, and the willpower heart cultivation heavenly Tao was completely missing. Other child universes' heavenly Tao were incomplete, and other child universes' space heavenly Tao were missing. The Almighties born in Universe 7 were equivalent to being born in Universe 7. Because Universe 7 itself was not perfect, it was even more difficult for its super black hole to evolve into a chaos universe. There had not been one so far. The world of Hongmeng has a strict hierarchy. Universe warriors are not allowed to leave the barracks. Only after becoming warlords can they roam the Taichu continent. Lin Feng said, "In other words, you have to have the strength of a powerful being." Yes. Xiao Ling continued, "There are 32 barracks in Universe 7, and all of them are in the ancient battlefield. It's the same in the Hongmeng world. All missions are accepted together." "Where is the quest?" Lin Feng asked. Xiao Ling said, "Once you enter the mission hall, you can accept missions. High-level cosmic warriors can only accept normal missions. Because Master has joined the Feather God Army, his authority is higher and he can accept dangerous missions." "What about the disaster-level mission?" Lin Feng asked curiously. Xiao Ling said, "Master, you need to become a top-tier universe warrior before you can accept it." Lin Feng nodded. Each power level corresponded to the mission level, to prevent some universe warriors from overestimating themselves. "What's the difference in time between dangerous and disaster-level missions?" Lin Feng asked. "Missions are graded according to the degree of danger, not time-consuming." Xiao Ling said, "If Master wants to save time, you can choose one disaster-level mission and give up 3 danger-level missions. Although the requirement for power is higher, you can save a lot of time and obtain more military merit." Lin Feng nodded. "I think so too." As for choosing a disaster-level mission, he needed to become a top-tier universe warrior first. This wasn't difficult. Lin Feng was confident that he already had the strength of a top-tier universe warrior. "How do I become a top-tier universe warrior?" Lin Feng asked again. "Strength and military merits." Xiao Ling said, "Military merits are obtained through completing missions or rewards. Strength is verified through the 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng. To become an 8-star high-level universe warrior, you need to consume 1 military merit and step onto the 2nd floor of the 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng. To become a 9-star high-level universe warrior, you need to consume 10 military merit and step onto the 3rd floor of the 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng. To become a 10-star top-tier universe warrior, you need to consume 100 military merit and step onto the 4th floor of the 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng." Lin Feng nodded. It seemed that he still had to complete the mission. He only had 30 military merit points. He still needed 81 military merit points to become at least a 10-star top-tier universe warrior. "Is the 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng used to verify strength?" Lin Feng asked. "Yes, Master only needs to think Hongmeng 2 Poles Pagoda in your heart to enter," Xiao Ling said. "What happens if I fail to challenge the pagoda?" Lin Feng asked. "You can't challenge the pagoda again for 1 era," Xiao Ling said. Lin Feng nodded. "So, there's no danger." Xiao Ling nodded. "Master, you can try. The 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng is very lively." "Very lively?" Lin Feng was curious, but he didn't ask further. Seeing was believing. Hongmeng 2 Poles Pagoda. After thinking it in his heart, Lin Feng felt a flash in front of his eyes. In an instant, he arrived at a place shrouded in clouds. In front of him was a towering pagoda. It was majestic, magnificent, and sacred. The 2 Poles Pagoda in Hongmeng seemed to support the heavens and the earth. The door to the 1st floor of the pagoda was open. Lin Feng didn't enter immediately. He circled around the Hongmeng 2 Poles Pagoda, carefully admiring this behemoth. He was very curious about whether it really existed. If the Hongmeng Sea also had such a behemoth, how terrifying would it be? Lin Feng sighed in his heart. The Hongmeng world was already so huge. Wouldn't it be even bigger in the Hongmeng Sea than in the Universe 7? A pagoda larger than the original universe. Just thinking about it was terrifying. One side is Hong and the other side is Meng. 2 doors, 2 paths for almighty beings. Lin Feng thought. One path was to start from the main body and cultivate the body, soul, or heart to achieve the body of the universe, the soul of the universe, or the heart of the universe. The other path was to start from the Hongmeng heavenly Tao and comprehend the laws of the universe to become an almighty being. Then, one could cultivate the laws of the Hongmeng heavenly Tao. Each had its own merits, and there was no difference in superiority. Therefore, this pagoda was named the Hongmeng Two Poles Pagoda. Lin Feng himself was also a cultivator in all aspects. He cultivated the body and soul, and his foundation was astonishing. On the other hand, his heavenly Tao realm was also not bad. He cultivated the ancestors' 9 heavens of light and darkness and had a small achievement. However, right now, the heavenly Tao of the soul was stronger. Let's enter the Mengji Pagoda first. To test his strength, he naturally chose the one that he was more confident in. Lin Feng stepped in, and Hongmeng airflow surrounded him. In a split second, he felt the overflowing chaotic energy mixed with strands of Hongmeng airflow. The environment here was very different from the Hongmeng world. The Hongmeng world was like a vacuum, without any energy. However, the Hongmeng Two Poles Pagoda was different. Not only was the chaotic energy abundant, but the Hongmeng airflow, which was almost invisible in the Hongmeng Sea, could also be seen everywhere. Good place. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. The Hongmeng airflow here was the most abundant he had ever seen. Right now, his internal universe was absorbing it hungrily. He originally thought that it was just a place to test his strength, but he didn't expect to have such an unexpected gain. This place is really lively. Lin Feng sighed as he scanned the interior of the pagoda while absorbing the Hongmeng airflow. Chapter 2751. From the outside, one could tell that the Hongmeng dual pole tower was huge. Inside, it was vast and endless. From time to time, one could see many universe warriors cultivating inside. There was no lack of great beings like Huang Zun among them. Here, Lin Feng didn't seem special at all. Xiao Ling, are these all warriors from the military camp? Lin Feng asked curiously. No, master. These universe warriors come from the entire Hongmeng Ocean. Xiao Ling's clear voice sounded. The Hongmeng dual pole tower stands in the center of the Hongmeng Ocean like a pillar to the sky. It's a very special existence. All the universe warriors from the entire Hongmeng Ocean can enter the Hongmeng dual pole tower to test their strength. Because this is the first level, there are the most universe warriors, and you have to wait for a long time. Lin Feng understood. No wonder there were so many universe warriors. One military camp couldn't possibly have so many high-level universe warriors. He had guessed that there might be great beings from the Taichu Origin Chaos universe, but that wasn't the case. It included all the great beings from the entire universe ocean. The Hongmeng dual pole tower, whether in the Hongmeng Ocean or the Hongmeng world, was very special. No wonder there was a gap of one era. If there wasn't a time limit and endless challenges, the waiting time would be frightening. Every high-level universe warrior here had only one goal in entering the Hongmeng dual pole tower, to challenge the Tower Guardian. Every level of the Hongmeng dual pole tower had a Tower Guardian. If the challenge was successful, one could enter the next level. When will it be my turn, Xiao Ling? Lin Feng asked as he walked forward. Don't worry, master, Xiao Ling said. The challenge order is determined when you enter the Hongmeng dual pole tower. First come first serve. When it's master's turn, the Hongmeng dual pole tower will summon you. Master will enter the challenge space on the first level of the dual pole tower and fight with the Tower Guardian. Lin Feng nodded. Will it be dangerous to cultivate here? Xiaoling smiled. The Hongmeng dual pole tower is absolutely safe. What is the investiture of the gods challenge? When he entered the Hongmeng tower, Lin Feng's Hongmeng command token had an additional symbol that looked like the Hongmeng's twin towers. When his mind penetrated it, he knew that this was the opportunity to challenge the list of deification. The opportunity to challenge the investiture of the gods is given when you enter the twin towers of Hongmeng. It's a chance to leave your name on the investiture of the gods. If you succeed in the challenge, there will be a huge reward. Among the 108 generals of the investiture of the gods, even the weakest has the strength of a mighty figure. They are all supreme experts sealed in the twin towers of Hongmeng. However, there is a limit to the strength of the 108 divine generals. 7 of them can only be challenged by Huang Zun, 14 can only be challenged by godly venerates, and 21 can only be challenged by Yuan venerate. Only one chance to challenge? Lin Feng asked curiously. It can be exchanged for Hongmeng's source crystals. Every time you defeat a divine general, you will get a chance to challenge them, Xiaoling replied. Only Huang Zun can challenge 7 divine generals, and the weakest of them is an almighty? Lin Feng thought to himself. So only those at Huang Zun's level have to defeat an almighty in order to get an additional chance to challenge them? Yes, master, Xiaoling replied. Furthermore, this is different from the strength verification of the twin towers of Hongmeng. The 108 generals of the investiture of the gods are real powerhouses who are sealed in the space of the twin towers of Hongmeng. Therefore, challenging them is a battle to the death. No wonder there is a huge reward. Lin Feng became interested when he heard about a battle to the death. Only such a battle could truly stimulate one's potential. The strength verification of the twin towers of Hongmeng wasn't very significant. It was only a requirement of the mission. However, a battle to the death with an almighty was enough to make any powerhouse who yearned for battle excited. Every powerhouse who defeats a divine general will leave their name on the investiture of the gods for future generations to look up to. This is a supreme honor in the Hongmeng realm. Xiaoling added, of the 7 divine generals that Huang Zun can challenge, even the publicly acknowledged weakest, Guijin, only has 357 names on the investiture of the gods. The closest one was 50,000 eras ago. Of the 7 divine generals that Huang Zun can challenge, the publicly acknowledged strongest, the Scarlet Fire Monarch, only has 5 names on the investiture of the gods. 5 names. Lin Feng was surprised. In the endless history of the Hongmeng Sea, only 5 Huang Zuns have succeeded? Xiaoling nodded. Among the divine generals that can be challenged at the Yuan venerate level, there are even fewer names on the investiture of the gods than the Scarlet Fire Monarch. Among them, the Myriad Bone Emperor doesn't even have a name on the investiture of the gods. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It was too shocking. These were the super powerhouses of the entire Hongmeng Sea, yet not a single one had succeeded. This is a real challenge. Lin Feng sighed. The primordial sea was indeed the primordial sea. It was a vast region with countless experts. Here, one could wantonly pursue the pinnacle of strength, battle, temper oneself, and strengthen oneself. It was the land of true experts. While he was moving forward, Lin Feng suddenly stopped and his eyes lit up. A considerable number of cultivators had gathered in front of him, and they were watching a battle with bated breath. It seemed to be a projection of an ancient region. In a circle of light that was difficult to distinguish between reality and illusion, there were 2 powerhouses fighting fiercely. One of them had an indistinct appearance. His entire body was pitch black like a ferocious ghost. His dark blue sleeves were tattered, making him look like a corpse's shroud. His entire body was emitting a dark green poisonous mist. His bloody mouth was wide open and his fangs covered his entire face. His opponent was a young man in red. His pair of thick eyebrows and big eyes were the most eye-catching. Huang Zun's aura alone was shocking. He held 2 emerald bamboo-like scimitars in his hands. Every time he brandished them, the space would vibrate violently. What a powerful saber technique! Lin Feng was immediately attracted by it. His blade technique could be considered good in the original universe, but it was completely useless in the Hongmeng Sea. The red-robed young man's saber art was extremely profound. Every swing of his saber contained the laws of primordial chaos, and the space heavenly Tao he had fused with had reached the 13th level. Too strong. This was the strength of an almighty. A powerhouse like Huang Zun had the strength of an almighty. Would anyone in the original universe dare to imagine this? But in the Hongmeng Sea, Lin Feng witnessed it with his own eyes. However, although the young man in red was strong, his opponent was not weak either. The strength of an almighty was on full display. Even though the young man in red was attacking like a tidal wave, the pitch-black ferocious ghost was not at a disadvantage. The ghostly movement technique and the attack of the poisonous mist entangled the young man in red like a maggot attached to a bone. He is Gui Jin, recognized as the weakest of the 108 generals of the investiture of the gods. Xiao Ling's voice sounded in his mind. Lin Feng was shocked. He was one of the 7 divine generals that Huang Zun could challenge? The weakest Gui Jin? So this is the 108 generals of the investiture of the gods. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Witnessing this battle with his own eyes did not make him have any intention of retreating. Instead, it aroused his desire to win. He also wanted to attempt the challenge. Chapter 2752. Unfortunately, it's still lacking a little. Free serialization. He's already very powerful to be able to push Gui Jin to this extent. Who in the Taichu universe can compare to him? He's enough to be called the number 1 in Huang Zun. He's one of the top super geniuses in the Taichu universe, Little Hong Dao Rei Yi. His master is the universe master, so he's naturally strong. He's famous in the Taichu universe, and he's already reached the 7th floor of Hongmeng's dual pole tower. The investiture of the gods is really too difficult. The record that's been sealed for 50,000 eras has yet to be broken. It should be soon. With Little Hong Dao Rui Yi's ability, I believe he'll succeed in J eras. The universe warriors discussed animatedly, and Lin Feng was also filled with emotions. He just entered Mengji Tower and saw such an exciting battle. Although the red-shirt youth wasn't defeated, Gui Jin's defensive ability was too strong, and he couldn't win. In the end, it ended in a draw. Little Hong Dao Rui Yi. Lin Feng remembered this name. A super genius from the Taichu origin chaos universe was indeed much stronger than he was now. Although Lin Feng was confident, he wasn't conceited. In the entire Universe 7, Huang Zun could be called the number 1, but the Hongmeng Ocean was so big. Just the Taichu origin chaos universe alone had countless super geniuses. S3, that was the mother universe of Y-nurtured Universe 7. It had a complete heavenly axiom and could even comprehend the Hongmeng laws. Universe 7 was too far away compared to it. I'll catch up. Let's compete and see who can defeat Gui Jin first. Lin Feng stared at the light circle where the battle had ended. It was empty. Although the universe warriors were still discussing, Lin Feng wouldn't join them out of boredom. It was better to use the time to train. He still had a lot of room for improvement. Hongmeng's dual polarity pagoda is nothing much. There's no point in making friends. Let's just cultivate. Lin Feng strolled around Mengji Tower for a while. There was nothing else that attracted him, so he chose a secluded place to focus on cultivation. His Hua strands of Hongmeng energy were absorbed into the tea, strengthening the tea's inner universe. This trip to the void had strengthened Lin Feng's inner universe to the Yuan Venerate level. However, he was still far from reaching the peak Yuan Venerate level. This step had to be perfect. The red-robed young man, Little Red Saber Rui, was also Huang Zun. However, he had already reached the peak of the Yuan Venerate in T-Interverse. Otherwise, he would be at a great disadvantage against Gui Jin. Lin Feng knew very well that his enemy was Universe 7's Godly Inquisition. Every Cosmos God was a peak Yuan Venerate. If they didn't want to suffer any losses, the strengthening of the T-Interverse was imperative and had to be done quickly. This is the best place to cultivate. Lin Feng focused his mind. According to Shaoling, the Taichu continent of the Hongmeng realm had many better places to cultivate, but he didn't have the authority to do so. There weren't many places to cultivate in the military camp. However, the Divine Feather Army has benefits and exclusive cultivation grounds. Old Yu had brought Lin Feng to every corner of the Divine Feather Ridge, so Lin Feng knew very well about this. He had originally planned to take a look around the Hongmeng realm before heading to the Divine Feather Ridge to cultivate. However, the Hongmeng Dual Polarity Tower had many mystical aspects. This wasn't a virtual space, but a projection of the Hongmeng Sea. The body was also a real body, so it could naturally cultivate. So fast. Lin Feng felt that his body was improving at an extreme speed. The energy of Hongmeng was too abundant. At this speed, it will take at least a few eras or at most a few dozen eras for the T-Interverse to be fully absorbed. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He knew that it was impossible. The dual polarity tower of Hongmeng could only be entered once per era. Moreover, it would soon be his turn to challenge the Tower Guardian. Before that, I'll absorb as much as I can. Lin Feng seized the time to cultivate. 300 years, 500 years, 800 years, in the blink of an eye, 1,000 years had passed. The number of universe warriors in the dual polarity tower didn't decrease at all. Some passed the second level, and some failed and were sent out of the Hongmeng dual polarity tower. More and more universe warriors arrived one after another like Lin Feng. The difference was that Lin Feng's rank was much higher. I have to wait longer than expected. Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry. The longer he waited, the more energy he could absorb from the Hongmeng realm. It would be best if he couldn't absorb it until it was his turn. That way, he could absorb it endlessly. However, this was naturally impossible. After waiting for the 1,600th year, Lin Feng felt a call. It's finally here. Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief and relaxed his body. In a split second, a strong suction force came from the top of the tower. Lin Feng's body was lifted into the air, and he flew straight to the top. Something strange happened. Lin Feng did not crash into the all-metal top. Instead, he seeped into it and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Hua S3, the scene in front of him changed. Lin Feng seemed to have stepped into the clouds. The chaotic fog lingered. A pitch-black monster appeared in front of him. It had a round head, greenish-brown patterns, and strong arms. It emitted a powerful and shocking strength. Perfect origin energy. Perfect origin energy body. This is the guardian of the first level of the dual polarity tower. Lin Feng had learned about the guardian of the dual polarity tower from Little Ling. There were 3 types of guardians in the dual polarity tower. The first type was the R-body type. The second type was the soul-body type. They were good at the soul-body type. The third type was the soul-body type. They were good at the heart force sky path. The guardians of the first and fourth levels were good at the strength sky path. An 8-star universe warrior with the combat strength of a beginner Yuan Venerate can defeat the guardian and ascend to the next level. Given Lin Feng's strength, he could easily kill the guardian. The guardian wouldn't even have a chance to get close. Mirage Ocean Sword. Lin Feng immediately took out the Mirage Ocean Sword. This was enough to deal with the guardian, who only had the combat strength of a beginner Yuan Venerate. The Mirage Ocean Sword was condensed with perfect origin energy body. Although Lin Feng was only Huang Zun, his current combat strength was comparable to a mid-level Yuan Venerate when controlling objects. If he attacked with his source C, his combat strength would be comparable to a peak Yuan Venerate, Chi. Upon seeing the Mirage Ocean sword break through the Guardian's defense, Lin Feng suddenly had a thought. In an instant, the Mirage Ocean sword split into 108 pieces and returned to its body. Why should I kill it? Lin Feng smiled. He didn't need to be in such a hurry to complete the test of his strength. The challenge of the dual polarity tower in Hongmeng could be carried out at any time in every era. If I win the challenge now, I will enter the second level. The number of universe warriors there will definitely be less than the first level, so the queue time will be much shorter. Lin Feng pondered. However, if I stay on the first level, I will have 1,600 years to absorb the Hongmeng energy and strengthen the T-Universe. This is only the dual polarity tower. There is still the Hongji tower. I can also enter it. In other words, I will have about 3,200 years to cultivate in the dual polarity tower in Hongmeng every era. This way, the T-Universe will be able to reach the peak of the Yuan Venerate very quickly. Lin Feng's eyes lit up as he allowed the Guardian to break through his defense. In an instant, he turned into a ray of light and disappeared from the challenge space. Chapter 2753. The verification of the strength of Hongmeng's dual pole tower was indeed very important. This was especially true in the military. The advancement of the universe's warriors, their military ranks, and their missions were all closely related. Lin Feng also needed to verify his strength. After all, he had to fulfill 3 conditions to officially join the Feather God Army. One of them was to reach the 7th level of Hongmeng's dual pole tower. The other was to complete 3 dangerous grade missions or 1 disaster grade mission. This was also related to the verification of the strength of Hongmeng's dual pole tower. However, there was no rush. 100 eras was neither long nor short. Even if Lin Feng went all out and reached the 5th or 6th level of Hongmeng's dual pole tower, it would still be useless. After all, there was a huge threshold between the 6th and 7th levels. It was the threshold between a peak Yuan Venerate and an Almighty. Since that was the case, there was no difference between earlier and later. The most pressing issue for Lin Feng was still the threat of Universe 7's Divine Inquisition. Joining the Feather God Army was secondary. Senior H. Quan had already been taught a lesson. Even if he was strong enough, he couldn't underestimate Universe 7's Divine Inquisition. S3. Senior H. Quan had been even stronger than he was now. However, he had still died. Was it safe in Hongmeng? Was it safe in the military? There was no such thing as certain in this world. Whoosh! After Lin Feng was kicked out of the primordial polarity tower, he immediately entered the Hongji tower on the other side. There were 2 sides to the primordial polarity tower, and they represented 2 different paths of cultivation. The Hongji tower originated from Hongmeng's heavenly Tao and advanced by comprehending the universe's nomological laws. Lin Feng's spatial nomological laws, time nomological laws, and the 9 heavens of light and darkness were all part of Hongmeng's heavenly Tao. Therefore, he had the qualifications to challenge the Hongji tower. However, compared to Mengji Tower's deliberate defeat, Lin Feng might not be able to defeat the guardian of the first level of the Hongji Tower even if he went all out. In the Hongji Tower, one's strength would be weakened while nomological laws would be infinitely magnified. The deeper one's nomological laws comprehension, the stronger one would be in the Hongji Tower. Here, Lin Feng didn't lose on purpose. Rather, he really wasn't a match. However, just like Mengji Tower, the number of cultivators in Hongji Tower was not small. After waiting for 1800 years, it was finally Lin Feng's turn. The challenge of the first era of Hongmeng's dual polarity tower came to an end. I've absorbed a lot in the past 3,400 years. Lin Feng was very satisfied. This plan would be of great help to him in increasing his strength. In any case, the challenge to the twin towers of Hongmeng would occur once every era. There was no need to rush at all. He could climb up at any time. How do I get to the mission hall? Lin Feng left the dual polarity tower in Hongmeng. Master, do you want to go to the barracks mission hall or the Taichu's mission hall? Xiaoling asked. Oh? What's the difference? Lin Feng asked curiously. The barracks mission hall is on the ancient battlefield. All the missions can only be accepted by warriors from the 32 barracks of Universe 7. Xiaoling replied, the Taichu's mission hall has a lot of missions. It's huge, and it's divided into different halls according to the difficulty of the missions. All warriors from the Taichu Origin Chaos Universe can enter. It's not easy to snatch them. Lin Feng understood. Although there were many missions, there were too many monks and too little gruel. It was difficult to accept missions. Let's go to the barracks mission hall. Lin Feng wasn't interested in accepting missions for the time being, nor was he in a hurry to enter the Taichu's mission hall. After all, he wasn't strong enough. If he recklessly roamed the Hongming Sea, wouldn't he be looking for trouble and give Universe 7's Inquisition Hall a chance to take advantage of him? In the barracks, even if Universe 7's Inquisition Hall wanted to find trouble with him, they would have to avoid him. Once he entered the Hongmeng Sea, they would truly be unrestrained. Yes, Master. As the spirit of Hongmeng, Xiaoling was naturally familiar with the Hongmeng world. She quickly led Lin Feng to the barracks mission hall. The Hongmeng Sea's 4th barracks was very large, and the ancient battlefield was even larger. However, the ancient battlefield in the Hongmeng world couldn't be considered big. Next to the barracks mission hall, there were various buildings. Many warriors from different barracks gathered here, chatting happily and harmoniously. There were also many warriors drinking and having fun, indulging themselves here without restraint. This P-square area was packed with warriors from the 32 barracks. Most of them were high-level warriors, but there were also many top-level warriors. The barracks had strict military discipline, but here there weren't so many rules. You can do whatever you want to do, as long as you didn't violate the rules of the Hongmeng world. The armory is here. It's easy to find. Lin Feng stepped into P-Square's landmark barracks mission hall. Next to it was a dazzling armory. Lin Feng still remembered that during the newbie mission, killing Heart Guanyin had helped him exchange for many treasures here. Now, he had a lot of military merits to exchange, and even 30 military merit. In this P-Square area, the most eye-catching things were the armory, the barracks mission hall, and the tavern. S3, the 3 landmark buildings. Hua, his eyes lit up. Lin Feng entered the barracks mission hall. This was the mission hall of the entire 7th Universe's army from the 32 barracks. There was a sea of people outside, but inside it was also in full swing. Bubbles of different colors floated in the mission hall, surrounding the warriors and emitting a faint glow. What is this? Lin Feng was very curious. Not far from him, there was a white bubble. He reached out and touched it. In an instant, Lin Feng felt like he had entered the white bubble. A message appeared in his mind: intermediate mission. Go to the Black Say ruins and kill 5 top-level Netherkill warriors. Mission reward: 5 million military merits. Lin Feng could clearly feel that with just a thought, he could immediately accept the intermediate mission. But Lin Feng naturally wouldn't accept it. He let it dissipate like the moon in the water. A single intermediate mission had a reward of 5 million military merit. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. When he carried out the newbie cleanup mission, the members of the 777 squad only got a few million military merit. The captain got a little more, tens of millions. But it took a whole era. The cleanup mission was only a beginner mission. The mission reward was 500,000 military merit. Every time a universe-devouring bug was killed, there was 1 military merit reward. The difficulty of the mission was actually equivalent to an intermediate mission. Because there were a lot of universe-devouring bugs, and the mission took a lot of time, it was considered a T-labor. Beginner missions were usually carried out by 7-star advanced universe warriors. Intermediate missions were usually carried out by 8-star Advanced Universe Warriors. Advanced missions were carried out by 9-star Advanced Universe Warriors. The sub-dangerous level missions and dangerous level missions required top-level Universe Warriors to complete them. Lin Feng wanted to accept the cleanup mission, but this was a military mission. He couldn't accept it alone. Because the cleanup mission was complicated and required a warlord to kill the universe-devouring queen bug, it was difficult to classify the mission. Right, I can't accept the cleanup mission, but I wonder if there is a mission to kill the universe-devouring queen bug? Lin Feng's heart moved. Chapter 2754. Lin Feng had a deep impression of the universe-devourer queen bug. The universe-devourer queen bug. Every time he killed a universe-devourer queen bug, he would be rewarded with 10 military credit. The military credits were just an additional reward. After entering the ancient battlefield, Lin Feng clearly knew that military credits were not very useful in the barrack. Whether it was to become a warlord or to exchange for top-grade treasures, military credits were required. And when he retired and left the barracks in the future, military credits could be exchanged for Hongmeng origin crystals. In the Hongmeng world, this was the currency of the Yu dynasty. 10 military credits reward is classified as a dangerous mission. If there is one, it would be easy to complete 3 missions. Other top-level Universe Warriors found it difficult to deal with the Universe Devourer Queen Bug, but he just happened to be able to restrain it. If there was such a mission, Lin Feng would naturally be willing to accept it. The military credits reward was one thing, but the Universe Devourer Queen Bug's huge universe sac was excellent food for the Interverse. White Say bubbles have small, medium, and large sizes, corresponding to beginner, intermediate, and advanced missions respectively. White Say bubbles with red color are sub-dangerous missions, while red Say bubbles are dangerous missions. Lin Feng shuttled around the large barracks mission hall. There were many Universe Warriors here, and even more White Say bubbles. But there were very few White Say bubbles with red color, and not a single red Say bubble could be seen. So many top-level Universe Warriors. Lin Feng shuttled around and saw a lot of top-level Universe Warriors. On the contrary, there were not many high-level Universe Warriors, especially 7-star and 8-star ones. No wonder there were so many White Say bubbles. S3, 7-star and 8-star high-level Universe Warriors were the main force of the barracks. They had to carry out many complicated missions like cleanup missions. After becoming a top-level Universe Warrior, it was much easier and they had more personal time. Sub-dangerous mission. Lin Feng had just seen a White Say bubble with red color, but it disappeared before he even got close. Missions naturally would not disappear for no reason. There was only one reason for it to disappear, and that was that it had been taken by other warriors. Difficult. This was Lin Feng's biggest feeling. After passing through the mission hall for a long time, he still hadn't seen any red bubbles. As for the disaster level mission, there wasn't even a green bubble. If the high-level Universe Warriors were the main force of the camp, then the top-level Universe Warriors were the main force of the mission. The most valuable disaster-level missions and dangerous-level missions had military contribution rewards, and they happened to be within the range of the top-tier Universe Warriors. It was no surprise that they were so popular. Military merits had too many uses. As for the death-level missions that required the strength of a powerful being, there were none in the mission hall of the barrack. One had to go to the Taichu mission hall to find them. Forget it. Lin Feng wandered around for a while before giving up. It wasn't that they couldn't get a mission. If they were lucky, they might be able to get a dangerous mission in 10 years or even 100 years. After all, the requirements for the Feather God Army were there. It would be ridiculous if they couldn't even get a mission. However, the mission he snatched might not be the one he wanted. What he wanted was the universe-devouring Queen Worm's mission, not other dangerous or disaster-grade missions. The efficiency was too low. Rather than snatching missions like this, It would be better to go back to the Feather God Ridge and train. Because of the oppression of the Seventh Universe's godly inquisition, Lin Feng was already used to fighting for every second. After all, his strength now had a lot of room for improvement. Although he hadn't completely joined the Feather God Army, he was still a part of it. In the Feather God Ridge, not only could he receive the benefits of the Feather God Army, but he could also use all the training facilities of the Feather God Ridge. This was the strongest force in the Fourth Army besides Qing Feng. In fact, the conditions of the Feather God Army and Qing Feng were similar in all aspects. The difference was that Qing Feng was the trusted aide of the Green Feather God and was closer to a powerful being. He would get more good missions and opportunities. Lin Feng left the mission hall of the barrack. Although there were many universe warriors of the Fourth Army in the mission hall, he wasn't here to help his friends. He wouldn't waste his time here. "Let's go back, Xiaoling," Lin Feng said. "Master, aren't you going to take a look at the armory?" Xiaoling remembered that Lin Feng had mentioned it before. Lin Feng smiled. "There's no need to do so now. Previously, in the battle with the YY Universe God, he had used up a lot of battle points, and there wasn't anything he needed to exchange for now. Moreover, during his time in the mission hall, he had seen many high-level universe warriors, which reminded him of Captain Mo Li's group. After entering the ancient battlefield, he hadn't seen them. Previously, in the newbie mission, Captain Mo Li Jian? Mechanical hot play? Yu bow? What? Crowbar? Hold? Ask Huang to knock on Ciwan? Why Universe God entered the ancient battlefield unscathed. It's time to meet them. Lin Feng had already settled down. Since he had joined the Feather God Army, he had to tell them the good news. S3, the Hongmeng token flashed, and Lin Feng's figure distorted as he left the Hongmeng world. Feather God Ridge, the newbie residence. Lin Feng stepped out of the battle room. When he entered the Hongmeng world, he entered from the battle room. When he returned to the battle room. This could be used to ensure his safety. As a member of the Feather God Army, there were many benefits. As a newcomer, there was one biggest advantage, and that was freedom. Lin Feng was completely free now, and he enjoyed the benefits of the Feather God Army. He had all the training facilities, and he didn't need to do any missions for 100 eras. To Lin Feng, this was actually the best newbie benefit. Oh! When old Yu brought him in, Lin Feng didn't see any other newbies. He only saw that the battle room J was flashing, and someone was staying there. This time, he saw two alien youths. They were exchanging pointers on the semi-oval battlefield not far from the battle room. Saber light and sword shadows flashed, and it was very intense. Although it was only a glance, one could feel the extraordinary strength of the two. They were both elites among elite. When they saw Lin Feng, the two alien youths stopped sparring and looked at him curiously. Lin Feng nodded at them. He didn't try to get close to them, and he left. "Who is he, a newbie?" the winged youth holding the sword asked. The tiger-headed youth frowned and shook his head. The battle sword in his hand vibrated. "I think so. I haven't seen him before." "Huang Zun." The winged youth clicked his tongue and smiled. "He seems quite arrogant. He only nodded when he saw us. He didn't even come over to greet us." The tiger-headed young man snorted, his eyes flashing with violence and viciousness. "Humans are so arrogant, let's not even talk about those from the God realm. There's nothing to be proud of. Let's see who will remain in the Feather God Army after 100 eras. What's the point of having great potential? We'll see if you can fulfill it." Again, after being provoked by Lin Feng, the tiger-headed youth's battle intent surged. The battle sword in his hand emitted a terrifying power, causing the entire battlefield to shake. The winged youth curled up the corners of his mouth. His figure shifted, and time seemed to have stopped at that moment. Those who could join the Feather God Army, even if they were newbies, were all extraordinary. Chapter 2755. Number 18 Military Camp, Squad 777. Captain, have you heard? A newbie joined the Feather God Army. Moto said casually as he ate the meat. What's so strange about that? Every 10 eras or so, there will always be 1 or 2 outstanding newcomers in the reserve army who will directly join the Divine Feather Army. However, less than 1 in 10 will be able to meet the requirements of the Divine Feather Army. Shiwen combed his long golden hair. Jian? Li? Rong Yu Wei Huang? Oh. Shiwen smiled. What's the difference? Is this newbie especially strong? Captain Mo Li put down the wine bottle in his hand and said, This newbie's number is from our 18th camp. Shua. The eyes of the soldiers all changed. Will he have a chance to become our commanding officer? Moto put down the large piece of our meat in his hand as his mouth was greasy. Even if he is, it will depend on whether he can meet the requirements to join the Feather God Army. Wait. Shiwen put down the comb in his hand as if he thought of something. His gaze landed on Captain Mo Li and Jian. Changing the case? Jian? Li? Rong Yu? Yu Wei? You? Script S3, that's right. Captain Mo Li was the most experienced and was the calmest. Brother Lin Feng just left after completing the newbie mission, and a newbie from the 18th camp is joining the Feather God Army. How can there be such a coincidence? Think about it. Although Brother Lin Feng is Huang Zun, he can easily kill the universe-devouring queen bug. As long as he doesn't rely on special treasures, his strength has already met the requirements to join the Feather God Army. Considering the time, as Captain Mo Li spoke, his heart suddenly stirred, and he abruptly turned his head. In the distance, a familiar figure appeared behind him. He was dressed in a light martial uniform and seemed out of place in the camp. However, his aura was very familiar. Lin Feng. It was Lin Feng. Ha ha ha, the soldiers of the 777 team all stood up and welcomed him. During the newbie mission, they had formed a deep friendship with Lin Feng. Although Lin Feng came from the God World battlefield, there was no barrier between them. You're finally here. You brat, you still know to come back. I missed you so much, Brother Lin Feng. Feeling the enthusiasm of the soldiers, Lin Feng hugged and greeted them one by one, the smile on his face coming from the bottom of his heart. In the military camp, everyone fought side by side, went through life and death together, and had the deepest feelings for each other. Captain Mo Li was the last one. Their eyes met, and everything was understood without words. Lin Feng took the wine jug from Captain Mo Li and sat on the ground with the rest of the group. This was the favorite way for the soldiers in the barracks, drinking and eating in large mouthfuls, not bothering about trifles. Why are you so free today? Shouldn't the Feather God Army be busy? Captain Mo Li joked. I've been wanting to come here for a long time. Lin Feng replied with a smile. It's just that I went to Hongmeng and wandered around. I didn't know how much time had passed, so I was delayed. But it's better to be late than never, right? Everyone laughed heartily. They knew that Lin Feng was joking. Just the fact that he still remembered them after joining the Feather God Army was enough to make them feel grateful. I knew that Brother Lin Feng would definitely join the Feather God Army. Shiwen, who had long golden hair, looked at Lin Feng. That's not true. Ma Tuo grumbled from the side and directly exposed him. Before, when we made a bet, you said that Brother Lin Feng could only join the elite team. Was it Captain Mo Li and Jian? Mo Li and Jian Xiaofu? Chi. Shiwen's face turned red and he scolded. What do you know? I said that on purpose. I didn't want to hurt you. Haha, what are we afraid of? Brother Lin Feng is from our 777 team. We can't be happier. The soldiers all laughed, making Shiwen's face turn red and white. Lin Feng smiled to ease the awkwardness. Actually, I can't be considered joining the Feather God Army yet. I have to fulfill 3 conditions in 100 eras to be considered officially accepted. Captain Mo Li said, after all, the Feather God Army is the signature of the 4th camp. Just having potential is not enough to join the Feather God Army. You also have to have sufficient strength. Simply put, the three conditions are to reach the peak Yuan Venerate level in 100 eras. Unfortunately, after countless eras, only a little more than 10% of newcomers have succeeded. Lin Feng nodded. After all, a newcomer joining meant that a soldier would leave the Feather God army. If you didn't have sufficient strength, how could you make others believe in you? Furthermore, if you weren't strong enough, you would be a burden to the other soldiers when carrying out missions and might even affect the completion of missions. The Hongming-Si didn't lack talent. Fulfilling it was crucial. Everyone chatted happily. S3. They had fought together before, so there was no barrier between them. Although Lin Feng was only a newcomer to the Feather God army, his status had already surpassed the other soldiers. Even if Lin Feng didn't succeed in 100 eras, he could still enter the first and second elite teams after leaving the Feather God army and returning to Camp 18. All the soldiers were very happy to be able to get to know such a future powerhouse. Lin Feng didn't think too much about it. Furthermore, 100 eras was a long time and anything could happen. It didn't matter if he wasn't in the Feather God army when the time came. Who knew what would happen in the future? He still had enemies eyeing him covetously. By the way, Lin Feng, do you have any plans? Captain Mo Li asked. I'll cultivate in the Feather God Ridge first and accept missions after my strength has stabilized. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. I've been to the mission hall in the barracks before. Dangerous missions are too difficult to obtain. Jian? Zhu Bian Ao Wu Gu I Hang Yu Lao Hua? I embedded in Jia Huang Chiu Pu Delete? Hard Jia Mei Na Lao Hua. Shiwen pressed her hand to her forehead and shook her head. The missions given by the army don't pay very well and waste a lot of time. I really don't want to complete them, but Captain always gives them to us. Captain Mo Li directly threw the empty wine bottle in his hand over and scolded with a smile. What are you saying? Do you think I'm willing to let you join the Feather God army like Lin Feng if you have the ability? You can choose to accept missions on your own or become a top-notch universe warrior. Shiwen pouted and her golden hair fluttered. Humph, one day, I'll make you all look at me in a different light. Everyone laughed loudly. Lin Feng also smiled knowingly. It was very lively when everyone gathered together. What kind of missions do the army usually give out? Lin Feng asked curiously. Jian? Cormorant's decayed carcass plucked from the ground? Castrating Mei Na Lao Hua? Treating Mei Na Lao Hua? Mei Na Lao Hua? Words suddenly cut into you. Jia Mei Na Lao Hua? Hua? Thirst? Look at you. Lin Feng nodded. Like the previous mission, if he was alone, not only would it take a lot of time, there might even be fish that escape. After resting for another 100 years, I'll have to do missions again. Shiwen directly laid down and stretched. So annoying, there's no freedom at all. Ma Tua bit his tongue. Only with strength can you have freedom. Be like brother Lin Feng and you'll be free. Looking at everyone, Lin Feng's heart suddenly moved. He couldn't help but ask, if it's a mission, can I join? Chapter 2756. SP. Lin Feng was satisfied with joining the 777 squad and completing the military mission. Compared to personal missions, it was much safer. If he took the mission alone, once he left the ancient battlefield and entered the Hongming-Si, there would be danger everywhere. With the pervasive infiltration ability of Universe 7's Godly Inquisition, they would definitely be able to find his location and kill him. But military missions were different. When carrying out military missions, the military would protect the safety of the soldiers. Even if Universe 7's Godly Inquisition was willing to pay a heavy price and send Universe God to kill him, they wouldn't dare to do it openly because it would affect them. In the original universe, Universe 7's Godly Inquisition was very strong. But in the Hongming-Si, could it be stronger than the military? Just the 18th camp of the 4th Army was enough to make Universe 7's Godly Inquisition suffer. If you say G, G is G. Captain Mo Li wouldn't be sloppy. Moreover, with such a strong fighter like Lin Feng, it would be too wasteful if he didn't take advantage of the situation. Just as he expected, once he brought out Lin Feng's name, the 18th camp allowed him to do whatever he wanted. Although Lin Feng was just a newcomer in the Feather God Army, everyone in the 18th camp had to give him face. S3. If Lin Feng officially joined the Feather God Army 100 eras later, the soldiers who offended him now would be in big trouble. No one was stupid. Moreover, even if Lin Feng didn't join the Feather God Army, he would be a brother of the first elite squad in the future. It wouldn't be wrong to establish a good relationship with him. After waiting for 800 years, the cleanup mission would start again. Lin Feng didn't waste time. He bitterly cultivated the illusory sea samsara array in the Feather God Ridge. Only 100 times of soul origin power could cultivate the highest mystery of the illusory sea dark sand. Although Lin Feng's soul origin power hadn't reached 100 times, it was perfect after fusing with the fallen star soul. Not only could he cultivate it, but he could also display more power. Cultivating in the Feather God Ridge was twice the result with half the effort. In a short 800 years, Lin Feng had grasped the essence of the illusory sea samsara array, but the time was still too short. With Lin Feng's current wealth, he could buy a pinnacle chaos treasure. Moreover, one of the benefits of the Feather God Army was that he could go to the armory and pick 3 pinnacle chaos treasures. Lin Feng hadn't used them yet as there was no need for it. Practice is better than practice. He had cultivated the illusory sea serene sand for a long time, so it was easy for him to use it. Moreover, when he cultivated it to the extreme and mastered the illusory sea reincarnation formation, its power would not be much weaker than a peak chaotic true treasure. Refining a new peak chaotic true treasure would take a lot of time, and he would have to gradually adapt to it. It takes too much time. What Lin Feng needed the most right now was time. The cleanup mission was successfully completed. Although it took an era, Lin Feng did not have much time to actually complete the mission. Most of the time, Lin Feng was just hacking. The benefits of cultivating in the void were considerable as well. Just the 4 cosmic sacks alone were enough to fill the T-universe with a full meal. This time, it was not Azure Feather God who had wiped out the universe-devouring queen insect, but an idle general. Although he was surprised that a mere Huang Zun like Lin Feng could kill the universe-devouring queen insect, he did not say anything. After all, this was not considered big news in the Hongmeng Sea. Lin Feng did not snatch his military merits either. With Lin Feng's help in killing the 4 universe-devouring queen insect, he would be able to spend less effort, so why not? He entered the Hongmeng Bipolar Pagoda to absorb Hongmeng Qi, returned to the Feather God Ridge to cultivate, entered the Hongmeng Bipolar Pagoda again to absorb Qi, and occasionally participated in cleanup missions. Lin Feng's days in the Feather God Army were tight and solid, and his strength improved steadily. Very soon, during the 33rd era, the T-universe reached its limit. The limit of an ordinary peak yuan venerate. However, this was not the limit of an origin primal chaos venerate. Chapter 2757. WWXX by